Chapter 239. After Helian Theo said this, several people's expressions changed. Jing Yu secretly ridiculed in her heart. My grandpa! You're the favored concubine. Your whole family are favored concubines. Jing Yu was furious. She originally thought that Helian Theo would dress her up in such a mysterious manner because of her high status. In the end, he actually dismissed her with the words favored concubine. Jing Yu's heart was filled with deep resentment. But just as Jing Yu secretly ridiculed in her heart, she suddenly discovered that the surrounding atmosphere seemed to have changed. Several burning gazes fell on Jing Yu, causing Jing Yu's hair to stand on end. What was this situation? Could it be that she had been seen through? What is the meaning of covering your face in front of the Tokyo's son of heaven, Helian Fifth Prince? A cold voice sounded. It was the voice that Jing Yu was most familiar with, Xiao Chen. Ninth Emperors, you also know that I am a person of the Northern Pastoral. Helian Theo turned his head to look at Xiao Chen and said, in my Northern Pastoral, there is an unwritten rule. If a woman is branded as a favored concubine, she can only see her master for the rest of her life. No one else can see her true appearance. Please forgive me, or is mine. The surname Nalin is? The Empress Dowager's expression was somewhat strange. A pair of shrewd eyes stared fixedly at Jing Yu, but she couldn't see Jing Yu's full appearance. She could only see a pair of lively eyes. Empress Dowager, she wasn't originally called this name. It was just that I gave her this name on a whim. Helian Theo slightly bowed to the Empress Dowager and said, oh, so it's like this. After hearing Helian Theo's explanation, the Empress Dowager's tensed body gradually relaxed. She took a closer look at Jing Yu before withdrawing her gaze in disappointment. She gestured to Helian Theo to take a seat. Helian Theo brought Jing Yu to sit at the side. Across from them was Xiao Chen. Ever since Helian Theo had mentioned Jing Yu's name, Xiao Chen's sharp eyes had been fixed on Jing Yu's body. It was as if he wanted to find out what was going on. Jing Yu slowly furrowed her brows and silently observed the people around her. She discovered that other than Xiao Chen who was staring at her, even Fu Ruoqing and Empress Fei Yaju who were sitting beside the emperor were faintly looking at her. That sense of inquiry made Jing Yu have a strange feeling in her heart. She felt that they were trying to verify something. However, Jing Yu was certain that they weren't trying to verify whether or not she was Jing Yu. After a round of drinking, the Empress Dowager said a few words and the Emperor also said a few words. The rest of the time was spent admiring the music and dance. Jing Yu had never seen the music and dance in the palace before. It was filmed so beautifully on television. She wondered how it would turn out in real life. Jing Yu had an appreciative attitude as she watched the music and dance that livened up the atmosphere. Each and every one of them had a beautiful appearance. It really wasn't just for show. The dance postures were also extremely gentle and beautiful. After a round of livening up the atmosphere, the children of the ministers couldn't help but step forward one after another to perform and congratulate the Empress Dowager on her 60th birthday. Jing Yu was dazzled by the scene. She felt slightly tired as she looked at the social interactions. This king would like to propose a toast to the fifth Prince Helian. Xiao Chen's voice sounded again. This was already Xiao Chen's third toast. Such frequent toasts naturally caused everyone to have doubts in their hearts. Although there had never been any rumors that the Ninth Emperors and Helian Theo had a bad relationship, they had never heard of them being on good terms. Chapter 240. Although there were no rumors that the Ninth Emperors and Helian Theo had a bad relationship, there were no rumors that they were on good terms. Xiao Chen's repeated toasts during the banquet puzzled everyone. The Ninth Emperor's really has a good tolerance for alcohol. I can't hold my liquor well anymore. Helian Theo's heart skipped a beat. He raised his hand slightly and said, why don't I let my beloved concubine have a drink with the Ninth Emperors? As Helian Xiu's words fell, the people who were watching the commotion here were a little surprised. Jing Yu was also shocked. She frowned and looked at Helian Xiu with a warning look in her eyes. However, Helian Xiu beautifully ignored her. Okay. Xiao Chen's gaze fell on Jing Yu and he responded indifferently. At this moment, even Jing Yu had to drink. There were so many pairs of eyes watching. Jing Yu glared fiercely at Helian Theo. She stretched out her slender white fingers and gently picked up the wine cup in her hand. Her clear black eyes looked directly at Xiao Chen without any obstruction. Their eyes met and they were both calm. Let this little girl drink this cup of wine on behalf of the 9th emperors. Just as the two were looking at each other, Ning Xiangyuan, who was sitting next to Xiao Chen, suddenly spoke. She raised the wine cup in her hand and smiled at Jingyu. When Ning Xiangyuan raised the wine cup in her hand, Xiao Chen frowned slightly. However, he slowly put down his wine cup. Jingyu's fingers trembled slightly. She turned her gaze to the person she didn't want to see the most today. Xiao Chen caught the flash of anger in her black eyes. Miss Naylan doesn't want to? Ning Xiangyuan looked at Jingyu, who didn't move for a long time, and said with a gentle smile. Jingyu silently put down the wine cup in her hand and withdrew her hand. She didn't say a word. Everyone's expression changed when they saw this. Ning Xiangyuan's body stiffened as she raised her wineglass. She could feel the mocking looks from all around her. Jingyu's action was like a slap to Ning Xiangyuan's face. This clearly meant that Ning Xiangyuan didn't even have the right to raise a cup with a favored concubine. What a big slap to the face. Everyone was waiting for Xiao Chen's reaction. After all, Ning Xiangyuan came with Xiao Chen today. Such a big slap to the face should at least show some reaction, right? But strangely, Xiao Chen didn't react at all. His eyes were fixed on Jingyu. Everyone looked at Xiao Chen, then at Hellion Theo, and finally at Jingyu. Sorry, this favored concubine of mine has been spoiled by me. Hellion Xiu faintly curled up the corners of his mouth. Although he was apologizing, the expression on his face didn't seem to be one. But I wonder what identity Miss Ning is using to propose a toast on behalf of the 9th emperors? Hellion Theo changed the topic and looked at Ning Xiangyuan. He said faintly, "This prince doesn't remember when the 9th emperors took in a concubine." Ning Xiangyuan's face turned pale. She stiffly put down the wine cup in her hand and lowered her head. Her eyes were filled with shame and anger. It's just a cup of wine. Everyone, don't ruin the harmony. Crown Prince Xiao Yuling looked at the tense atmosphere and smiled. He then raised the teacup in front of him and said, "This prince is unwell and can't drink wine. This prince will use tea in place of wine to propose a toast to everyone." Chapter 241. This consort is unwell and cannot drink wine. This consort will use tea in place of wine to toast everyone. Many thanks, Your Highness the Crown Prince. Xiao Chen and Hellion Theo both raised the wine cups in their hands and drank lightly. Only then did the atmosphere ease a little. Hellion Fifth Prince, this favored concubine of yours is truly mysterious. How come I've never heard you mention her before? Xiao Yuling's gaze fell on Jingyu. His clear eyes scrutinized Jingyu as he asked with a smile. Yuer suffers from a hidden illness and has been recuperating. She also only arrived in the imperial city a few days ago. It's normal for Your Highness the Crown Prince not to know. Hellion Theo said indifferently. Hidden illness? She can't be a mute, right? Xiao Jingran tilted his head slightly and his gaze also fell on Jingyu. He swept his gaze over Jingyu in a bored manner and said, "She doesn't even know how to speak. Looks like she really is a mute." Jingyu turned to look at Xiao Jingran and her eyes burned with anger. "You're the mute." Xiao Jingran looked at Jingyu's eyes that were filled with anger and the wine cup in his hand suddenly froze. He didn't know if it was because he drank too much, but in his days, he actually thought that the person looking at him was Jingyu, that bearing fangs and brandishing claws woman who didn't have the slightest bit of propriety. Xiao Jingran's heart jumped and he straightened his body to look at Jingyu. Jingyu calmly withdrew her gaze. This made Xiao Jingran wonder if he had seen wrongly. Then he thought about it. This Jingyu was the 9th imperial concubine that the 9th emperors had appointed. How could she be Hellion Theo's favored concubine? He actually had this kind of strange thought. It was truly too laughable. As expected, he drank too much. Jingyu didn't know that among so many people, Xiao Jingran was the first to recognize her. They clearly didn't have much contact with each other. Although they didn't completely recognize her, at least one of them was thinking about her. Your Highness is right. Her has indeed lost her voice and is unable to speak. Please forgive her, Hellion Theo replied with a faint smile. He looked at Xiao Chen again with a faint smile in his eyes. Jing Yu could almost clearly feel Xiao Chen's irritation and restlessness. And the one who gave Xiao Chen such a feeling was actually herself? Jing Yu lowered her eyes to avoid Xiao Chen's gaze. She was puzzled as to why Xiao Chen cared so much about her. Not towards herself, but towards her identity. From the moment Helly and Theo mentioned Nalan Yu's name, Xiao Chen's attention had been focused on himself. Nalan Yu? Who is she? Since today is the Empress Dowager's birthday, dancing and dancing are naturally indispensable. Since Hellion Fifth Prince has brought your favored concubine here, it seems that your favored concubine is also someone who is good at singing and dancing. Why not have her dance for the Empress Dowager to liven things up? Just as Jing Yu was thinking, a voice suddenly came from above. It immediately made Jing Yu's heart jump slightly. Good. Ijia also wants to see what ability Hellion Fifth Prince's favored concubine has. When Fu Ruoqing's words fell, the Empress Dowager nodded in agreement. Her eyes fell on Jing Yu. Hellion Theo's expression changed. He opened his mouth to refuse, but Jing Yu suddenly grabbed his hand. Are you willing to dance? Hellion Theo was slightly surprised. He turned his head to look at Jing Yu strangely. His eyes were full of doubt. Thinking about how he usually interacted with Jing Yu, he really didn't dare to imagine what Jing Yu's dance would be like. Chapter 242. Jing Yu blinked her eyes. Her eager look made the corner of Hellion Xiu's mouth twitch slightly. Why did he have an ominous premonition? Since Her Highness the Empress Dowager and Her Highness the Noble Consort wish to take a look, this prince will naturally not be stingy. Hellion Xiu raised his voice as he responded to Fu Ruoqing's words and really allowed Jing Yu to enter the arena. Jing Yu pulled Hellion Theo's hand and seemed to be writing something, but she was actually speaking to Hellion Theo with her lips slightly moving. She was telling him about her request to go up on stage and dance. Everyone looked at the intimate actions of the two and their gazes became a bit strange. Not long after, the surrounding music suddenly quieted down and everyone's gaze turned to the stage. Hellion Theo also had a calm and unruffled expression. They wondered what kind of dance Jing Yu would perform. Light footsteps sounded, and a fiery red figure walked onto the stage step by step. Her clothes were the same, and there was a red silk gauze in her hand. She stood quietly on the stage, and the surroundings were silent. Everyone stopped talking and watched the stage attentively. The first music sounded and Jing Yu slowly closed her eyes. Music sounded one after another and Jing Yu's figure began to dance. She had practiced martial arts for many years and her body was soft and flexible, so dancing was not difficult for her. However, the dance that Jing Yu was performing today was an ancient dance. If anyone from the modern era was here, they would be able to recognize it. The dance that Jing Yu was performing was the Prince of Lanling's entrance dance that everyone had seen before. With every rotation, the sound of music rose and fell unpredictably, leaping and graceful. The red figure was like a flame that charged into the encirclement without the slightest scruple. The impassioned music and the action of swinging her sleeves made it seem like she was trying her best to kill the enemy and break through the encirclement for victory. The music slowed down, and the battle was decided. The red figure slowly bent down and stopped, and the music stopped. The entire hall was silent for a long time, and it was silent for a long time amidst the desolation of the battlefield from before. Good. A voice of praise sounded and everyone was startled back to reality. Everyone's gaze landed on Jing Yu on the stage. Jing Yu slowly let out a sigh of relief. She had not danced in a long time and this dance was really bad. However, it was good that it was heartfelt and made up for the shortcomings of Jing Yu's dance. What dance is Miss Nalan performing? Ning Xiangyuan, who was beside Xiao Chen, was clearly shocked by this dance. She looked at Jing Yu who was slowly walking down the stage and asked with a proper smile. Jing Yu silently glanced at Ning Xiangyuan. She walked back to her seat without looking sideways and sat down beside Hellion Xiu. Ning Xiangyuan saw that Jing Yu ignored her and her face stiffened. This was already the second time that Jing Yu treated her like this. It made her lose face. If Jing Yu knew what Ning Xiangyuan was thinking, she would really cry out for injustice. Right now, she was playing the role of a mute, okay? You're talking to a mute and still expect her to answer you? Aren't you joking? Empress Dowager, this dance is called the Prince of Lanling's entrance dance. It's about a general who broke through the encirclement and won. It's a song and dance that you created. I hope Empress Dowager will like it. Hellion Theo turned to look at the Empress Dowager who was sitting on the high seat and said with his head lowered. Good. Come, give Ija's 9-step hairpin to Jingyu. The Empress Dowager was full of smiles and looked at Jingyu with eyes full of love. She waved her hand and said. Chapter 243. Many thanks for the Empress Dowager's gift. Hellion Theo bowed slightly, and Jingyu also bowed. Fu Ruoqing, who was sitting at the side, looked at the gift from the Empress Dowager and her face turned green, but she still forced a smile. Fu Ruoqing had asked Jingyu to dance just now because she thought that Jingyu, a favored concubine, could dance? Fu Ruoqing was afraid that even if she could dance, it would be an unpresentable dance. She didn't expect that Jingyu would not only dance, but also use such a trick to win the Empress Dowager's joy. This made Fu Ruoqing very unhappy. When she saw Xiao Chen's eyes glued to Jingyu's body, her face turned even uglier. Ninth Emperors, don't drink so much wine. It's bad for your health. Ning Xiangyuan sat next to Xiao Chen and watched as Xiao Chen drank cup after cup of wine. She spoke with a slight heartache. When did you have the right to speak about this king's matters? A cold light flashed through Xiao Chen's eyes. He glanced icily at Ning Xiangyuan, then raised his head and drank the wine in his cup in one gulp. Ning Xiangyuan's body swayed and her face turned pale. She bit her lip and lowered her head. She was the one who had sent herself to be humiliated. When she heard that Jingyu had moved out of the prince's residence and that the 9th Emperors would be attending the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet without a female companion, she went to find Xiao Chen behind everyone's back. Using the excuse of being Jingyu's good friend, she actually managed to get Xiao Chen to agree to bring her to the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet. When she heard this news, she was so excited that she couldn't sleep for the entire night. However, she was also very nervous. If Jingyu knew about this, would she blame her? But when she appeared at the banquet with Xiao Chen, the feeling of being the center of attention made Ning Xiangyuan realize that everything she did was worth it. As long as she could stand by this man's side, everything was worth it. Ning Xiangyuan tilted her head to look at Xiao Chen's face, which was so handsome that it was hard for her to look away. Her heart was filled with bitterness. What could she do to make herself appear in this person's eyes? She hated that cold gaze. This time, Ning Xiangyuan was suddenly a little jealous of Jingyu. Why did Xiao Chen treat Jingyu in such a different way? 9th Emperors, Jingyu, she still hasn't returned to the prince's residence yet? Ning Xiangyuan's eyebrows arched as if she was a friend. You is too stubborn. When the birthday banquet is, I'll talk to her. She smiled, as if she looked like a friend. She looked Throughout the banquet, no matter what Ning Xiangyuan said, Xiao Chen did not have much of a reaction. It was only when she mentioned Jingyu that Xiao Chen's expression changed. Ning Xiangyuan's eyes were filled with bitterness. She turned her head and took a deep breath. When she raised her eyes again, there was nothing strange about them. Jingyu, who was sitting next to Hellion Theo, took in the expressions of Xiao Chen and Ning Xiangyuan. The change in Xiao Chen's expression did not escape Jingyu's eyes. Ning Xiangyuan's smile was also very gentle. The two of them looked like they were chatting happily. For some reason, Jingyu felt as if her heart had been pricked by needles. It looks like the 9th Emperors and your little sister are getting along very well. Hellion Theo's lips curved slightly as he turned to look at Jingyu. Jingyu slowly closed her eyes and did not say anything. The banquet lasted for a long time before it ended. Jingyu could not stay a moment longer. When she saw the Empress Dowager and the Emperor leave, she urged Hellion Theo to leave the palace. However, just as Hellion Theo was about to leave, the 9th Emperors also wanted to leave. Chapter 244. However, just as Hellion Theo was about to leave, the 9th Emperors was also about to leave. The 9th Emperors is also leaving the palace? Hellion Theo looked at Xiao Chen, who was standing up, and asked with raised eyebrows. Xiaochen responded, and his gaze fell on Jingyu. He paused for a moment, then took the lead and walked forward. Miss Naylan, how about we go together? Ning Xiangyuan looked at Jingyu with raised eyebrows. Jingyu looked at Ning Xiangyuan indifferently, then turned and stood on the other side of Hellion Theo. She actually rejected Ning Xiangyuan so straightforwardly, as if she was disgusted. It seems that my Yuer doesn't want to travel with you. Hellion Theo looked at Ning Xiangyuan with raised eyebrows, then led Jingyu out of the palace without stopping. On the carriage, there were no outsiders. Jingyu hadn't been able to speak for an entire day, but now she could finally speak. She raised her hand and tore off the veil covering her face. She looked at Hellion Theo with gritted teeth and said, "Who is nailing you?" I thought you would ask why Ning Xiangyuan would be attending with the 9th Emperors. Hellion Theo looked at Jingyu, who was about to kill someone, and said with raised eyebrows, "That's the next question." Jingyu glared at Hellion Theo and said, "Don't try to fool me. Xiaochen is clearly a very important person. He knows Xiaochen, the Empress Dowager, and Fu Ruoqing. You actually want me to pretend to be someone else? Just a dead person." Hellion Theo's smile disappeared, and he shrugged nonchalantly. However, his dark eyes seemed to be surging with a different emotion, causing Jingyu to furrow her eyebrows. "That's why you wanted me to accompany you into the palace, right?" Jingyu's expression darkened. "Yes," Hellion Theo admitted without hesitation. "You used me." Jingyu clenched her fists. "Didn't you see something you didn't know about? Your little sister and your fiancé attended the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet together. I'm afraid that everyone is now guessing whether the 9th Emperors will take in a concubine next, or directly replace you, the appointed 9th Imperial concubine, with someone else." After hearing Hellion Theo's words, Jingyu's face darkened. She lowered her head and said, "I don't think that's the case. I'll ask Ning Xiangyuan myself." "Ha, you usually look smart and capable. I didn't expect you to be so slow when it comes to this kind of thing." Hellion Theo shrugged indifferently and said, "Xiaochen will definitely send someone to follow me. Come back with me to the residence first, change your clothes, and then return to the restaurant through the back door." Jingyu didn't refuse. She furrowed her eyebrows tightly, as if she was thinking about an incomprehensible problem. However, after entering the palace, Jingyu suddenly felt as if everything had changed. There were many foggy things floating in front of Jingyu's eyes, and she couldn't help but want to uncover them. The day after the Empress Dowager's birthday, Jingyu's life returned to normal. However, today the restaurant welcomed another person. Jingyu was reading a book to pass the time in a private room when she heard Shin Yuqing say that Jingyu's friend had come. Jingyu was curious who it was. When she saw Ning Xiangyuan standing in front of her, Jingyu suddenly felt a little inexplicable. "Yeah, you're really here?" Ning Xiangyuan looked at Jingyu, who was sitting there, and said in surprise, "I heard that you moved out of the prince's residence. I thought it was a joke." "Singles Day in the small theater, Xiaochen. Come quickly." Jingyu curled up on the bed, holding her phone and waving at Xiaochen. Xiaochen leisurely walked over to the bed and sat down. "But there's a big discount today. It seems like it's all used up. Buy it. Jingyu looked at Xiaochen with incomparable excitement. Xiaochen stared at the screen on the phone and fell silent. "Ninth Master, if you don't buy it now, when will you?" Jingyu blinked her small eyes and stared at Xiaochen. "Are you sure you want to buy a box of condoms that are only 50 cents off?" Xiaochen stared at Jingyu with a dark expression, his face clouded over. Chapter 245. I heard that you moved out of the manor. I thought it was a joke. What are you doing here? In the past, Jingyu always felt that Ning Xiangyuan was very gentle, as if she was always worried about her. But now, hearing such caring words from Ning Xiangyuan's mouth, Jingyu felt an inexplicable sense of disgust. "I heard that you moved out, so I came to see you." Ning Xiangyuan probably felt Jingyu's coldness and stood nervously in place. She bit her lip and looked at Jingyu. "Yeah, do you already know that the 9th Emperor?" "I know." Jingyu raised her eyes to look at Ning Xiangyuan. "I know that Xiaochen took you to see the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet. If you came to tell me this, Then you can leave. Yeah. Ning Xiangyuan jumped in fright. A faint mist appeared in her eyes and she looked like she was about to cry. She suddenly knelt by Jingyu's feet, giving Jingyu a fright. I'm sorry, Ye. I'm sorry. I followed the 9th emperor into the palace without telling you. Ning Xiangyuan knelt by Jingyu's feet and cried. It's my fault. You can hit me or scold me. This has nothing to do with the 9th emperor. Jingyu heard Ning Xiangyuan's words and a strange expression appeared on her face. She silently looked at Ning Xiangyuan and didn't say anything. At the beginning of spring next year, it will be the day of the emperor's concubine selection. A few days ago, I found out that father had already submitted my name. If I can't find a satisfactory marriage, father will send me to the palace. I don't want to enter the palace. Ning Xiangyuan cried like a pear blossom in the rain. There's something I didn't dare to tell you. I was afraid that you would blame me, but I have to say it now. Ning Xiangyuan sobbed as she looked at Jingyu. I've admired the 9th emperor for a long time, but because you are the 9th imperial concubine that the 9th emperor chose, I didn't dare to say it. I was afraid that you would ignore me if you found out. Then why are you saying it now? Jingyu suddenly smiled. I really had no choice. Ning Xiangyuan looked at Jingyu and said, I really don't have any other intentions. I am sincere about the 9th emperor. As long as you are willing, I am willing to be a concubine. I will not threaten your position. Yaya, please help me? Are you joking? Ning. We are good sisters. It's a wonderful thing for sisters to serve the same husband. Why are you unwilling? Ning Xiangyuan looked at Jingyu with teary eyes, full of reproach. Jingyu really wanted to laugh to death. She really didn't know how Ning Xiangyuan could say such a sentence. She was so self-righteous and even blamed her in turn. Firstly, I, Jingyu, will never share my man with an outsider. So don't come and beg me. Secondly, we were good sisters in the past, but after today, we are no longer sisters. You can leave now. Jingyu took a deep breath and said coldly. But I already apologized to you. I am willing to be a concubine. Why can't you tolerate me? Ning Xiangyuan's face was full of shock. She looked at Jingyu as if Jingyu had given her a huge blow. Chapter 246. Ning Xiangyuan's face was filled with shock. She looked at Jingyu as if Jingyu had given her a huge blow. Ning Xiangyuan. Jingyu calmly looked at Ning Xiangyuan and said, if you had told me that you liked Xiao Chen when I first came to the imperial city, I would have supported you without a second thought. But why did you say that after I got to know Xiao Chen? Although Xiao Chen and I haven't been through much, I've suffered a lot because of the title of the 9th imperial concubine. Don't you think it's very ironic for you to say this now? In the past, you didn't dare to get close to Xiao Chen because you said that you would die if you became the 9th imperial concubine. But now that you've verified that this matter is fake, you have such thoughts? Jingyu's words caused Ning Xiangyuan's expression to change slightly. What right do you have to make me suffer all of this? Just because you say you love me, you're going to give my man to someone else? Don't you think you're very funny right now? Jingyu coldly smiled at Ning Xiangyuan, who was kneeling on the ground. Jingyu, I didn't think that I would be like this in your eyes. Ning Xiangyuan looked at Jingyu with tears in her eyes and said, yes, I was afraid of the 9th emperor before, but that was because I had never interacted with him. To put it bluntly, you stole my man and used the excuse of getting close to me to get close to Xiao Chen. Jingyu retorted without holding back. Good. Since you've already said this much, I finally understand. Ning Xiangyuan stood up and said, originally, I didn't want to fight with you as a sister, but since you don't care about my feelings, then I won't hold back. I must marry the 9th emperor. Even without your help, I will still enter the Wang Palace. As long as Xiao Chen doesn't chase me away, you'll never be able to take a single step into the Wang Palace, Jingyu retorted coldly. From today onwards, our sisterhood is over. Ning Xiangyuan held back the tears in her eyes. Her lips trembled as she said this, then she turned and ran out. Jingyu watched as Ning Xiangyuan ran out the door and sat down on the table. She bitterly smiled and collapsed onto the soft couch behind her. Her thoughts were in a mess. Although she had a faint feeling yesterday, When Ning Xiangyuan said it out loud, Jing Yu's heart still ached. She had always treated her best friend with sincerity, but in fact, she had always approached her with ulterior motives. This feeling made Jing Yu feel very disgusted and disgusted. What is going on? Jing Yu wailed and covered her face with her hand. In the next few days, Jing Yu locked herself in her room and didn't come out at all. This made Shin Yuqing anxious for a long time. He thought that Jing Yu was sick and wanted to knock on the door but didn't dare to. Fortunately, Jing Yu came out herself in the end. Her sickly appearance scared Shin Yuqing. "Boss?" Shin Yuqing looked at the yawning Jing Yu standing at the door and carefully called out. "Then?" Jing Yu weakly replied and said, "Is there anything to eat? I'm hungry, ah?" Shen Yuqing hurriedly replied and called for people to bring the food into Jing Yu's room. "I'm about to throw up from staying in my room." Jing Yu was full of energy after eating. She stretched and changed her clothes. She looked outside and saw that it was almost dark. She rolled her eyes and said, "You guys look after the shop. I'm going to Gold Street." "You can't go." Shin Yuqing jumped in fright and hurriedly pulled Jing Yu back. Chapter 247. Why can't I go? Jing Yu glared and ignored Shin Yuqing as she went into the room to change her clothes. Through the screen, she could hear Shin Yuqing's earnest persuasion. Jing Yu rolled her eyes speechlessly. Why didn't she realize that he was so eloquent before? This young master is going to do business. Get out of the way. Jing Yu stood in front of Shin Yuqing in men's clothes. Shin Yuqing looked at Jing Yu in a daze. It was as if he had returned to the time when Jing Yu appeared in men's clothes in front of him and bought the restaurant. "Boss?" Shin Yuqing looked at Jing Yu's clothes and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "All right." Jing Yu pushed Shin Yuqing away and said, "I'll be back tonight. I'll leave first." She then turned and left, leaving Shin Yuqing standing there with a helpless expression. This Golden Street was naturally a street of brothels. Jing Yu hadn't come to this brothel for a long time. Today, she just happened to see how the renovation of this building was going. Now that she had money, the renovation was being carried out closely. Jing Yu strolled around the building and sat down to chat with Lu Man and the others for a while. After she explained some things to them, she was done. Jing Yu walked on the street. Originally, she wanted to go back. However, when she saw the Kun Fong courtyard, she couldn't help but think of her first encounter with Helly and Theo. She smiled faintly and stepped into the Kun Fong courtyard again. She wondered if she would encounter Helly and Theo again. If she met him again, she would definitely tease him back. Jing Yu stepped into the Kun Fong courtyard and paid the waiter. Then, she walked up to the second floor. However, something terrifying happened. Jing Yu had just stepped onto the stairs to the second floor when she suddenly saw the two people walking towards her. The black brocade robes, handsome faces, cold eyes, and the powerful aura around them made Jing Yu feel as if she had been struck by lightning at this moment. Oh my God! Who can tell me why Xiao Qin is here? Jing Yu stood stiffly on the spot and swallowed with difficulty. When she saw Xiao Chen's gaze, she turned around abruptly without a second thought. She lifted her foot and was about to walk down the aisle on the other side. In her heart, she repeated 1,000 times, "Can't see me! Can't see me! Stop!" Just as Jing Yu was trembling with fear, Xiao Chen's cold voice rang out. Jing Yu stopped in her tracks, her little heart pounding. "Turn around." Xiao Chen's voice sounded again. Jing Yu could almost foresee how tragic her fate would be in the next second. Two little people were fighting in her heart. Should she run? Or should I run? He was still running. "I'll run." Jing Yu took large strides and ran forward as if there was an extremely scary monster behind her. Xiao Chen's face was gloomy as he watched Jing Yu run away. Without thinking, he leaped up and landed in front of Jing Yu. Staring at Jing Yu's terrified expression, Xiao Chen's mood could only be described as violent rage. "It's really you," Xiao Chen said through gritted teeth. Jing Yu felt goosebumps rise on her skin from Xiao Chen's gaze. Listen to me. It's not what you think it is." Jing Yu swallowed with difficulty and said. Xiao Chen stared coldly at Jing Yu. Jing Yu wanted to cry but had no tears. What kind of sin did she commit? Chapter 248. As Xiao Qin hugged Jingyu, he suddenly felt incomparably satisfied. It had been a long time since Jingyu saw the gate of the prince's residence. She looked up at the gilded plaque and sighed. She suddenly thought of something very important. Xiao Qin, I'll come back tomorrow. There are still things left at the restaurant. Jingyu turned to look at Xiao Qin and said, No. Xiao Qin frowned when he heard this. Without another word, he picked up Jingyu and walked inside. Hey, at least send someone to talk to Manager Shen. He's waiting for me to come back. Jingyu hurriedly hugged Xiao Qin's neck and hung onto Xiao Qin's body. Xiao Qin frowned when he heard this. However, he still turned to give Xing Yi an order. Are you satisfied? Xiao Qin looked down at Jingyu in his arms and asked. I'm satisfied. Jingyu smiled. Her bright smile made Xiao Qin smile as well. He carried Jingyu back to the lotus court. Why is it still the same as when I left? Jingyu looked at the clothes that were strewn all over the bed and blinked. When she left, Jingyu had rummaged through the clothes and things and made a mess of the room. However, when she came back, it was still the same. Nothing had changed at all. Xiao Qin looked at Jingyu as she pulled up her sleeves and tidied up her clothes. His eyes were filled with gentleness. He finally understood why the room felt so empty. It was because Jingyu was missing. La la la, ta. Jingyu hummed a little tune as she tidied up her things. Xiao Qin sat to the side and watched Jingyu's figure. When Xing Yi came in and saw this scene, a faint smile appeared in his eyes. He even faintly let out a sigh of relief. These days, his master was always distracted. Sometimes, he would stand alone in the room for a long time. Then, he would angrily fling his sleeves and leave. Sometimes, he would mysteriously come to the lotus court and stand at the door for a while before turning and leaving. Others might not know Xiao Qin, but Xing Yi had been by Xiao Qin's side for a long time. Although he didn't know much about Xiao Qin, he knew a little about him. Actually, in his master's heart, the imperial concubine had always been there. However, the imperial concubine had a stubborn temper. When she fought with Xiao Qin, she wouldn't give in at all. Neither of them would give in to the other. Thus, there was this play. Fortunately, after so many days, the imperial concubine had finally returned. Their Wangfu should be lively again. In the past, the Wangfu had never felt that it was cold and cheerless. However, after Jingyu's arrival, it suddenly became lively. He was really not used to the sudden absence of such a lively person. It was as if something very important was missing. Master, I have already sent someone to inform her. Xing Yi stood beside Xiao Qin and bowed slightly as he spoke. Go and bring that servant girl back tomorrow. Xiao Qin nodded slightly. Although he still looked the same as usual, his aura was clearly different. Xing Yi immediately felt a wave of comfort in his body and mind. This was great. He finally didn't have to endure his master's oppressive aura. Yes. Xing Yi lowered his head in response. Xiao Qin waved his hand and Xing Yi retreated. Jingyu then walked over. Looking at Xing Yi's departing figure, she turned around and glared at Xiao Qin as she spoke. Good for you. You even dismissed Yin Xiao. Are you hoping that I won't come back? Xiao Qin lightly spat out 2 words. Don't even think about it. I'm sticking here. Jingyu arrogantly raised her chin and glared at Xiao Qin as she spoke. All right. Xiao Qin's lips curled as he stood up and hugged Jingyu as he spoke. I'll let you stick here. Chapter 249. Okay. Xiao Qin's lips curved as he stood up and hugged Jingyu as he said, I'll let you lean on me. So generous. Aren't you afraid that I'll eat your entire palace into poverty? Jingyu stared at Xiao Qin as she spoke. With your little belly, how can you eat the entire palace into poverty? Xiao Qin said as he led Jingyu into the room. You're underestimating me too much. Jingyu felt slightly embarrassed. After Jingyu and Xiao Qin finished washing up, they rolled onto the bed. Jingyu lay on her stomach on the bed. The soft blanket made her very comfortable as she rolled around. Just as she was about to roll to the side of the bed, a pair of large hands caught her and she turned her head to the side. Get in. Xiao Qin furrowed his brows as he stared at Jingyu. Oh. Jing Yu turned around and rolled in a circle, leaving some space for Xiao Chen. Seeing Xiao Chen lie down, she didn't know why, but she suddenly felt a sweet feeling in her heart. Xiao Chen, when I wasn't at the palace, where did you sleep? Jing Yu moved her body and propped herself up. She blinked and looked at Xiao Chen as she spoke. In the study. Xiao Chen raised his hand and let down the bed curtain. With a wave of his hand, he extinguished the candles in the distance. With a flip of his body, he pulled Jing Yu into his embrace. The tip of his nose was filled with a familiar scent and the feeling of being in his embrace. Xiao Chen was very satisfied as he buried his head in Jing Yu's neck. Oh! Jing Yu's body slightly stiffened in Xiao Chen's embrace. In the end, she softened her body and found a comfortable position to slowly close her eyes. It was a very comfortable feeling. Xiao Chen, I think. He was shaken. Jing Yu's lips curled into a faint smile as she entered dreamland with a sweet feeling. Jing Yu moved back to the prince's residence. When Yin Xiao returned and saw Jing Yu, she burst into tears again, saying that she thought she would never see her again. Because of the return of Jing Yu, everyone in the Wangfu was happy. Even the servants of the Wangfu had smiles on their faces. Jing Yu was lazily nestled in the lotus garden and eating snacks. She looked very bored with nothing to do. Just as he started to feel bored, Shangguan Linglan came looking for him. Yeah, what happened between you and Xiang Yuan? I went to look for Xiang Yuan today, and she said that you've severed your sisterhood with her. Shangguan Linglan said as soon as he entered the room. Yes. Jing Yu looked at Shangguan Linglan and said, Ning Xiangyun didn't tell you why? I asked, but she didn't say anything. She kept crying. Shangguan Linglan frowned as he looked at Jing Yu and said, What happened between the two of you? It's only been a few days. How did such a big thing happen without me knowing? This also happened a few days ago. Jing Yu pouted and said helplessly. Shangguan Linglan and Jing Yu sat in the room. Jing Yu slowly told him everything. Shanghai Linglan was stunned. When Jing Yu finished, Shanghai Linglan also fell silent. He frowned deeply. I also heard that Xiang Yuan entered the palace with the 9 emperors. I thought that you allowed it. Shangguan Linglan frowned. I had an argument with Xiao Qin. Jing Yu shrugged and said, I also didn't think that Xiang Yuan was this kind of person. Shangguan Linglan frowned and said, Forget it. I already sensed it in the morning, but because of our relationship, I didn't dare to say anything. I didn't think that it would end up like this. Let's talk about the future in the future. Jing Yu pouted and looked at Shangguan Linglan and said, It's been too boring in the Wangfu. Is there anything fun to do? Chapter 250. This period of time in the prince's estate has been too boring. Is there anything fun to do? Shangguan Linglan looked at Jing Yu with a face full of envy and jealousy as he said, You're too lucky. I was forced by my father to practice swordsmanship and martial arts all day. I had to beg him for a long time before he let me out today. Jing Yu looked at Shangguan Linglan with a face full of schadenfreude. There's nothing fun, but I heard that in a few days, the eldest princess is going to hold a tea party. I heard that she invited a lot of young talents. Actually, she wants to arrange a marriage for Countess Xiling. Shangguan Linglan looked at Jing Yu with a smile and said, When the time comes, we can go out and have some fun. I can also take the opportunity to rest and recuperate. Arrange a marriage? Jing Yu was stunned and blinked her eyes. She had forgotten that this kind of thing should be the most popular thing in ancient times. Shangguan Linglan said, Countess Xiling is the eldest princess's daughter. Who knows how many men want to marry her? However, this Xia Xiling is too arrogant. I don't know how many men can stand her. Her nature isn't bad. It's probably because of the environment. Jing Yu shrugged and said, The tea party is fine, but please don't hold a poetry party. I don't have the ink for it. All right, I'll come find you when the time comes. Shangguan Linglan stood up and said, I'll go back first. If I don't go back for too long, my father will punish me again. All right, let Yin Xiao send you off. Jing Yu smiled and nodded in agreement. Shangguan Linglan had just finished talking with Jing Yu about the tea party during the day. At night, Xiao Chen came with the invitation. However, this time, the invitation wasn't for Jingyu alone. Even Xiao Chen was invited, which surprised Jingyu. Xiling still calls me uncle. What's wrong with me going? Xiao Chen held a teacup and looked at Jingyu with narrowed eyes. Jingyu was slightly dazed before she reacted. That's right, the Princess Royal was Xiao Chen's elder sister, so Xiling was Xiao Chen's niece. For some reason, Jingyu suddenly thought of Xiling calling her aunt. She was so shocked that goosebumps rose all over her body. Then are you going to the tea party? Jingyu asked Xiao Chen as she cupped her chin. I originally wanted to go, but the Crown Prince invited me to discuss some matters at Have Money today, so I can't leave. Xiao Chen looked at Jingyu with a teasing smile. Ah? You're going to my restaurant to discuss matters. Jingyu suddenly jumped up and looked at Xiao Chen excitedly. Was it you who recommended it to the Crown Prince? Oh my. Even the Crown Prince went to this restaurant. Looks like I can use this name to make a lot of money. Now, your restaurant has become the first choice for most of the officials in the Imperial City. Not only is the decoration unique, your dishes are not something other restaurants can make. You're already famous. Xiao Chen looked at Jingyu calmly as he spoke. Pa, that's great. Jingyu laughed happily. I can sit down and count my money. I won't be going to the eldest princess tea party with you. Xiao Chen said calmly. Yes, it's fine. I'll go with Lanlan. Jingyu smiled. Then she suddenly stopped and looked at Xiao Chen with a scrutinizing gaze. There's one more thing I forgot to ask you. I know. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows and said, during the Empress Dowager's birthday, it was Ning Xiangyuan who took the initiative to come to me. Unfortunately, I was in a fit of anger, so I agreed to her request and took her to the birthday banquet. I need to apologize to you for this. Chapter 251. Forget it, I didn't take it seriously. Jingyu curled her lips and waved her hand as she stood up. She lowered her eyes with a guilty conscience. If Xiao Chen found out that she had pretended to be Nailin Yu and followed Hellion Theo to the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, even if she didn't die, she would lose a layer of skin. Xiao Chen looked at Jingyu, who was so considerate, and smiled happily. If Jingyu knew that Xiao Chen had mistaken her guilty conscience as being considerate, she would have spat out a mouthful of blood. She was too good at acting, so it was her fault. The weather was turning cold, and this tea party was to welcome the arrival of winter. At the beginning of November, the eldest princess held a tea party and invited all the young talents to the eldest princess residence. Tokyo's weather was not as cold as the northern pastoral weather. It was very warm, and there was only a slight chill in the November weather. Jingyu had been to the eldest princess residence before, but she had only reached the front door. Last time, she had gone to the wrong place. Today, she finally entered the residence. The courtyard was filled with people and it was very lively. It seemed like many people had been invited. When Jingyu and Shangguan Linglan arrived, the residence was already packed with people. All kinds of greetings rang out and there were many men and women who came. Jingyu and Shangguan Linglan looked at the large courtyard that had been cleaned up inside. It really was the eldest princess residence. Only this kind of large courtyard could accommodate so many people. Little Ye. A familiar voice rang out. Jingyu turned her head to look and saw Fang Zicheng and Jing Lang walking over together. Their gazes weren't just a little bit. Jingyu's face turned black. These two handsome men were actually this popular in the noble circle. Why are you also here? Jingyu looked at Fang Zicheng with disdain. His white robes and jade-like appearance made Jingyu deeply dislike him. She inexplicably thought that Fang Zicheng should be wearing a large red flower robe and look like a big fox. The eldest princess invited me. Fang Zicheng slightly bowed to Shangguan Linglan, who was beside Jingyu. Originally, this young master disdained coming to this tea party, but when I heard that you were also coming, I also came to join in the fun. Fang Zicheng smiled as he looked at Jingyu. Oh. This is really my tragedy. Jingyu heard this and wailed. She pulled Shangguan Linglan and turned to leave. Fang Zicheng's face immediately turned green. In all his life, only Jingyu would openly dislike him. She didn't hide it at all and treated him so honestly. Jingyu looked at the green face of Fang Zicheng and laughed out loud. When Fang Zicheng heard Jing Lang's laughter, he became even more resentful. He turned to look at Jing Lang and was about to say something. Jing Lang quickly coughed and called out to Jingyu to chase after them. Fang Zicheng was left alone in the wind in confusion. The tea party hadn't started yet. Jingyu and Shengguan Linglan sat in the pavilion while Fang Zicheng and Jing Lang sat to the side and chatted. The four of them seemed to be chatting very enthusiastically, causing the surrounding noble young ladies and young masters to be envious. One was the eldest young master of the Prime Minister's estate, one was the only son of the Grand Secretary's estate, one was the young lady of the General's estate, and the last one was the 9th imperial concubine who was appointed by the 9th emperors. Any one of these four people was a tyrant. Now that the four of them were gathered together, and all of them were handsome men and beautiful women, it was impossible not to attract the attention of others. However, Jingyu and the others acted as if they didn't notice, or perhaps they were too lazy to care. Chapter 252. Just as Jingyu and the others were talking, they suddenly heard a commotion, which attracted the attention of Jingyu and the others. When they turned to look, they saw an orange-robed woman surrounded by a crowd of people, who were all praising her. Wasn't the woman who was smiling at everyone Ning Xiangyuan? Ever since the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, Ning Xiangyuan had been brought to the banquet by the 9th emperors. Everyone was guessing whether the 9th emperors wanted to take Ning Xiangyuan as a concubine, or was she going to replace Jingyu, the appointed 9th imperial concubine? Thus, ever since the banquet, Ning Xiangyuan had received the attention of everyone in the various residences. Just like now, everyone wanted to talk to Ning Xiangyuan. It was as if Jingyu, the appointed 9th imperial concubine, didn't exist. "Little Yeye, is this your good sister?" Fang Zicheng said with a disdainful smirk. "Have some tea." Jingyu calmly retracted her gaze and took a sip from the teacup in her hand. She looked completely unmoved. "They're simply going too far." Shangguan Linglan's eyes were filled with rage as she glared at the group of people who were fawning over Ning Xiangyuan, her face filled with disgust. Jingyu looked at Shangguan Linglan's expression and shook her head helplessly. Shangguan Linglan was just like that. Whether she liked or disliked someone, she did not conceal it at all. "Be quiet. I'm here to drink tea." Jingyu glared at Shangguan Linglan and warned him. "Yeye, they're really not taking you seriously. How can you tolerate this?" Shangguan Linglan held his breath and glared at Jingyu angrily. "You're really the eunuch who isn't worried. When did I say that I could tolerate this?" Jingyu raised her hand and slammed the teacup on the table. Shangguan Linglan was stunned and looked at Jingyu. "I just feel that we're sisters. I don't want to make things difficult for everyone," Jingyu said gently. Shangguan Linglan and Fang Zicheng's eyes widened when they heard this. They looked at Jingyu as if they had seen a ghost. Their eyes were filled with confusion. "Why didn't I feel that you were this kind before?" Fang Zicheng looked at Jingyu with a strange expression. "TSK, what are you saying?" Jingyu glared at Fang Zicheng. "What do you want to do?" Jingyu looked at Jingyu with his arms crossed. His bright eyes stared straight at Jingyu, causing her to smile. As expected of her brother, he immediately knew what she was thinking. Jingyu was stunned when she thought of this. She actually called Jing Lang brother? "Go, send a message to Xiaoqin. Tell him that I've been bullied." Jingyu looked at the three of them with a smile. The three of them fell silent. Shangguan Linglan silently gave Jingyu a thumbs up. Fang Zicheng and Jingyu looked at each other and laughed. Fang Zicheng turned to look at Jingyu and said, "If this was in the past, I would never believe that Master Jiu would come over because of such an unimportant sentence. However, it's different when the person who said this is you." Simple and crude. Jingyu lazily leaned against the railing behind her and looked at the water. Fang Zicheng and Jing Lang argued for a while. In the end, Jing Lang went to send a message to Xiaoqin. Not long after Jing Lang left, the eldest princess finally came out. Everyone sat down and chatted with the eldest princess, talking about some irrelevant things. Chapter 253. Jingyu lowered her head and sipped her tea, acting as if this matter had nothing to do with her. Suddenly, the topic of discussion shifted to Jingyu. You must be the young miss of the Ning family, right? You were the one who brought the 9th empress to the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, right? Eldest Princess Xiao Peibai smiled gently as she looked at Ning Xiangyuan and said, "This princess remembers that you are Jingyu's good friend, right?" Ning Xiangyuan bowed slightly to Xiao Peibai and opened her mouth to speak, but Jingyu suddenly interrupted her, "We are no longer good friends." After Jingyu finished speaking, everyone looked over. Pairs of eyes looked at Jingyu and Ning Xiangyuan, their eyes filled with scrutiny. Everyone stopped guessing. Ning Xiangyuan is just taking advantage of the time when I was arguing with the 9th empress. Jingyu looked up at Ning Xiangyuan and said, "Using the excuse that you are my good friend, it should be very easy to get close to the 9th empress, right? Jingyu, the 9th empress has never married. He only brought me to a banquet. Why do you have to be so aggressive? We were originally sisters. Don't you care about our past relationship? Do you want to slander me like this?" Ning Xiangyuan bit her lip and looked at Jingyu as if she had been wronged. "Don't act like this. I feel disgusted." Jingyu turned her head away in disgust. "Do." Ning Xiangyuan's face paled. Everyone frowned as they watched the two of them go back and forth. Jingyu's words didn't seem to be fabricated, but there was no lack of evidence that the 9th empress had fallen in love with someone else. However, it was true that the two of them were once sisters. Jingyu's words about using her to get close to the 9th empress were probably true. Otherwise, why would the daughter of a lecturer be together with the 9th empress? Thinking of this, everyone's expression changed as they looked at Ning Xiangyuan. "I won't argue with you. If you want to blame me, why don't you go ask the 9th empress?" Ning Xiangyuan took a deep breath and raised her chin as she spoke. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Could it really be that the 9th empress had fallen in love with someone else? Otherwise, why would Ning Xiangyuan speak so confidently? Now that the 9th empress wasn't here, Ning Xiangyuan, naturally, wasn't afraid. The words, "Okay, I'll ask." Jingyu looked at Ning Xiangyuan and smiled. She actually agreed just like that. Behind Xiao Yuling was the 9th empress that everyone was talking about, Xiao Chen. "Greetings to your highness, the crown prince, and the 9th empress." Everyone stood up and bowed. Xiao Yuling waved his hand for everyone to stand up. He bowed slightly to the eldest princess before sitting beside her. There were a few more chairs on the high seats. Xiao Chen, Xiao Yuling, and a few others sat on the high seats. "Jingyu, come to this king's side." Xiao Chen glanced around with a cold face. He frowned slightly when he saw Jingyu sitting in the lower seat. He waved to Jingyu and said, "Oh." Jingyu looked at Shangguan Linglan and gave her an apologetic smile. She walked unwillingly to Xiao Chen's side and sat down. "Why did you call me over in such a hurry?" Xiao Chen looked at Jingyu as she sat down and held Jingyu's hand as he asked softly. Chapter 254. Wait. Jingyu raised her eyebrows and smiled. She turned to look at Ning Xiangyuan, who had a strange expression on her face, and said, "Ning Xiangyuan, didn't you ask about the 9th empress? Now that the 9th empress is here, why don't we get to the bottom of this? Everyone is here. You can consider them as witnesses." Jingyu looked at Ning Xiangyuan indifferently and said, "I will now ask the 9th empress. Was it the 9th empress who invited you to the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet? Or did you use my name to get the 9th empress to bring you there?" After Jingyu finished speaking, everyone's gaze fell on Xiao Chen. Ning Xiangyuan's expression suddenly changed. She bit her lips and looked at Xiao Chen with eyes full of pleading. Her delicate appearance was indeed pitiful, but Xiao Chen's gaze towards Ning Xiangyuan was so cold. "So it's because of this." Xiao Chen frowned slightly and said, "She begged this king to bring her to the birthday banquet. This king saw that she was on good terms with Jingyu and casually agreed. If this matter has caused a misunderstanding, then it can be considered resolved today." Xiao Chen's words were cold and hurtful. There was almost no euphemism in his words. He ignored Ning Xiangyuan's pleading and exposed such a shameful matter. Ning Xiangyuan's face drained of blood. Her eyes were filled with disbelief as she looked at Xiao Chen. As for the rumors about taking in a concubine, If this king finds out who spread it, this king will not let you off easily. Xiao Chen coldly narrowed his eyes and said, "Does she think she is worthy of being my woman?" Ning Xiangyuan's entire body trembled. Tears fell from her eyes uncontrollably. So in his eyes, she was so lowly. But why can she do it, but I can't? Ning Xiangyuan's tears fell drop by drop. Her heart was filled with sadness and anger. She pointed at Jingyu and said, "How is she better than me? She's a wild girl with no family background. How is she better than me? Why do all of you revolve around her?" "So this is what you've always wanted to say in your heart?" Jingyu's expression changed slightly. She suddenly laughed and looked at Ning Xiangyun and said, "Since you've always thought this way, why do you have to suffer by my side? Why do you have to put on an act?" "Shut up." Ning Xiangyun roared at Jingyu and said, "Who do you think you are? Without the protection of the empresses, you are worse than a child beggar on the streets. Impudent." Xiao Chen suddenly stood up. He stared coldly at Ning Xiangyun and said, "As long as this king is willing, this king can destroy your reputation and destroy your family. Jingyu is the 9th imperial concubine that this king has appointed. You have no right to insult her." Ning Xiangyuan's entire body trembled. Being treated like this by the man she liked, Ning Xiangyuan clutched her sleeves tightly. Her eyes were filled with sadness and unwillingness. Everyone looked at her with mocking gazes. Ning Xiangyuan was so ashamed that she couldn't show her face. Today, Jingyu and Xiao Chen's words exposed everything that Ning Xiangyuan had done. In the eyes of the public, Ning Xiangyun was a woman who wanted to use her sisters to climb into the bed of the 9th emperors. Her reputation was damaged and would be stained in the future. Any family with a slightly better background wouldn't propose marriage. Ning Xiangyuan's only way out was to enter the palace and enter the consort selection. Chapter 255. Ning Xiangyuan's gaze fell on Jingyu's face. Seeing Jingyu's calm expression and seeing Xiao Chen's frosty eyes, Ning Xiangyuan couldn't help but cover her face in pain. She quickly fled the scene. Everyone watched as Ning Xiangyuan ran away and sighed. "My apologies, eldest princess, for disturbing such a good tea party." Jingyu took a deep breath, stood up, and bowed slightly to Xiao Peibai. "Forget it, just treat it as a small interlude." Xiao Peibai bowed slightly and said, "Didn't the 9th emperor say that he wasn't coming to the tea party? Why is he here? Could it be that he's worried that your 9th imperial concubine will be bullied?" "This king's woman can't be bullied at all," Xiao Chen said calmly. Everyone's expression changed slightly. So the 9th emperor really was invited by Jingyu. Looking at the two of them, there was no sign of conflict. Luckily, they didn't have bad relations with Jingyu. Otherwise, really? Xiao Peibai helplessly glared at Xiao Chen and said, "All right, since you're here, sit down. You haven't come to my residence in a long time. Today, the crown prince is here as well. We have to have a good chat." Deference is no substitute for obedience. Xiao Chen and Xiao Yuling both bowed their heads in agreement. The eldest princess said a few words, drank some tea, and let everyone play. She went back into the room with Xiao Chen and the others. Jingyu naturally wouldn't go with Xiao Chen. Instead, she went back to the pavilion with Shangguan Linglan. Yeah, you were too domineering just now." Shangguan Linglan excitedly held Jingyu's hand and said with admiration. "Did I go too far? Ning Xiangyun must hate me to death now." Jingyu sat on a chair and leaned against the back of the chair as she spoke. "Didn't you hear what Ning Xiangyuan said?" Shangguan Linglan glared at Jingyu and said, "From the beginning, she got close to you because of the 9 emperors. She's not worthy of your sincerity. I've misjudged her." Jingyu fell silent. To think that this young lady has been protecting and giving her sincerity in all aspects. I'm really blind to have raised an ingrate by my side. Shangguan Linglan cursed. Obviously, he was still holding a grudge against Ning Xiangyuan for insulting Jingyu in front of so many people. If Fang Zicheng hadn't stopped him, Shangguan Linglan would have gone up to Ning Xiangyuan. "It's my fault for not recognizing people clearly." Jingyu held her chin and said, "Let her go. If Ning Xiangyuan dares to provoke me in the future, I will not show mercy." Count me in. Shangguan Linglan coldly harumphed and loudly said. The tea party ended in the evening. Jing Yu naturally went back to the manor with Xiao Qin. However, Princess Xiling didn't seem to like anyone. As for what happened after the tea party, Jing Yu didn't know. However, in the past 2 days, the falling out between Jing Yu and Ning Xiangyuan at the tea party had become the talk of the town. Ning Xiangyuan also became famous. When Lu Miaoqiu came to find her, Jing Yu was preparing to go to a restaurant. When she saw Lu Miaoqiu come, she brought Lu Miaoqiu to the restaurant to talk. Their conversation was naturally about Ning Xiangyuan. Lu Miaoqiu's status was low. If it wasn't for this news being widely spread, Lu Miaoqiu probably wouldn't know that Jing Yu and Ning Xiangyuan's relationship had become like this. Chapter 256. Lu Miaoqiu didn't go to the tea party at the Princess Royal's residence, so she didn't know what had happened. When she heard the rumors, she was shocked and hurriedly went to find Ning Xiangyuan. Jing Yu, I just sent Xiangyuan out of her residence. I also just found out about your situation. Lu Miaoqiu anxiously looked at Jing Yu and said, the rumors are that Xiangyuan used your name to climb into the 9 Emperors' bed. Is this true? When I went to ask Xiangyuan, I heard her crying non-stop. She scolded you for not caring about your sisterhood and wanting to kill her. You forced her to be too ashamed to see anyone. I said a few more words and was chased out by her. I had no choice but to come find you. How did things end up like this? Lu Miaoqiu asked Jing Yu with a frown. Ning Xiangyuan is right. I did all of this. The rumors on the streets are just like that. Jing Yu rubbed her forehead with a headache. There was no end to this matter. In any case, we are sisters. How did things end up like this? Lu Miaoqiu couldn't bear it and said, there are some things that I can't decide. Jing Yu sighed. She laid on the table and repeated the entire matter to Lu Miaoqiu. She swore to the heavens that she really didn't want to say it, but since she asked, she could not tell her, right? After Jing Yu finished, Lu Miaoqiu finally understood. Compared to Shangguan Linglan's violent reaction, Lu Miaoqiu's reaction was much more reserved. She just kept comforting Jing Yu not to take it to heart. After being betrayed by her sister, Jing Yu seemed like she was going to commit suicide at any moment. Boss. Just as Jing Yu was talking to Lu Miaoqiu, Shen Yuqing suddenly rushed in, giving Jing Yu a fright. What's wrong? Jing Yu frowned and looked at Shen Yuqing. Boss, there's a fight down there. Shen Yuqing wiped the sweat off his forehead and said, I couldn't persuade him no matter how hard I tried, and I didn't dare to go too close. All the customers in the shop were scared away. They're fighting? Who dares to cause trouble in the restaurant? Is the name of the 9 emperors not resounding enough? Jing Yu frowned and stood up. She looked at Lu Miaoqiu and said, sit here for a while. I'll be back soon. Wait, I'll go with you. Lu Miaoqiu stood up with Jing Yu. It's too dangerous. Jing Yu was about to refuse when she saw Lu Miaoqiu looking at her with a determined expression. It seemed like she would follow no matter what Jing Yu said. Looking at Lu Miaoqiu's expression, Jing Yu sighed helplessly and followed Lu Miaoqiu. In the main hall of the restaurant, Jing Yu had just walked down the stairs when she saw the 2 people fighting. Jing Yu blinked her eyes and looked over. One of them was wearing a gray robe, and the long sword in his hand was swinging vigorously. The other person was wearing a gray robe and was fighting with a gray robe. Jing Yu blinked her eyes in confusion. Wasn't that middle-aged man in a gray shirt the same person Jing Yu had seen last time? He was in the escort team. Why would he fight with someone in the Imperial City? Could it be an enemy? Excuse me. Outside the restaurant, the sound of horse hooves could be heard. Jing Yu looked at the 2 people fighting back and forth. The man wearing a gray robe seemed to be losing. The soldiers are here. The soldiers are here. The voices of the people outside the restaurant sounded. Chapter 257. The soldiers are here. The soldiers are here. The voices of the people outside the restaurant could be heard. Old man, I'm not going to play with you today. The younger man punched the man in the gray shirt in the chest and turned around to rush out of the window. Jing Yu was shocked. Without thinking, She grabbed the wine cup beside her and threw it at the man with a strong wind. Gotcha! The wine glass was blocked by the man with a wave of his sleeve. His cold eyes looked at Jingyu. After a glance, he turned and flew out of the window. Then he heard shouting outside. After a fight, he heard the sound of people chasing after him. Are you okay? Jing Lang, who was wearing armor, stepped into the restaurant. When he saw Jingyu, who was standing not far away, his heart trembled. He quickly strode over and asked anxiously, I'm fine. Who was that? Why you here? Jingyu shook her head and asked Jing Lang with a puzzled expression as she looked at the man who was trying to escape. Do you still remember what the emperor said when I went to the palace to get you out? Jing Lang saw that Jing Yijing was fine and said, That man is the burglar who has been wantonly stealing in the city recently. I didn't expect him to be so rampant as to appear in broad daylight. There really is a burglar? Jingyu widened her eyes. She thought that Jing Lang had used this as an excuse to get her out of the palace. She didn't expect there to be a burglar. It seemed that the man's martial arts were not weak. Jingyu, let me introduce you. This is Di He, the chief of the Long Gate Escort Agency. He volunteered to help catch the burglar this time. Jing Lang looked at the man in the gray shirt, who was standing up while holding his chest. He nodded slightly and said, Are you okay, Escort Leader Di? It's just a small injury. It doesn't matter. Di He shook his head slightly and looked at Jingyu. He said, Miss, I saw how you threw the teacup. You must be a martial artist, right? How can this be considered martial arts in front of Escort Leader Di? It's just some mediocre skills. Jingyu bowed to Di He. Feeling Di He's shrewd eyes staring at her, she felt her hair stand on end. Could it be that she had been recognized? Although she was far away when she shot the arrow last time, the eyesight of a martial artist had always been better than that of a normal person. If she was really recognized, then it would be troublesome. Jing Lang looked at Di He's gaze and was slightly surprised. This is Jingyu, the 9th imperial concubine chosen by the 9th empress. She's also the owner of this restaurant. Jing Lang hurriedly explained, causing Di He to look away. Are you Jingyu? Di He was indeed distracted. He looked at Jingyu in surprise and said, Not long after I came to the imperial city, I heard a lot of rumors about you. Today, I came to the rich restaurant because of its reputation. I didn't expect you to be Jingyu. Yes, I'm Jingyu. Jing Wanmei smiled and looked at Di He. She said, Escort Leader Di, you seem to be very surprised. How can I not be surprised? The 9th emperor is a great figure. No one in the Jianghu dares to offend him, let alone the overlords of the imperial court. How can the imperial concubine chosen by the 9th emperor be a teenage girl? This really surprises me, Di He said with a laugh. His tone was unscrupulous, just like the style of the Jianghu. You can't judge a book by its cover. Escort Leader Di, you've been in the Jianghu for many years. You should know this saying. Jingyu was not affected at all. The smile in her eyes deepened and she looked at Di He with a smile. Chapter 258. Jingyu wasn't affected at all. The smile in her eyes deepened as she looked at Di He with a smile. Good. You can't judge a book by its cover. Di He laughed out loud and said happily, Just based on the fact that your restaurant dares to shoot and kill a few people without any scruples, I have no choice but to treat Miss Jingyu differently. Escort Leader Di, you're wrong. The shooting of the ruffians has nothing to do with my restaurant. It was done by that flying bandit. Even the emperor said so. Jingyu's eyes flickered slightly as she lowered her head slowly. I've been fighting with that flying bandit for decades. He never used arrows. Di He looked at Jingyu with a scrutinizing gaze. When he said that, the surrounding air seemed to freeze. Jingyu lowered her head so her expression couldn't be seen clearly. Jing Lang unconsciously tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword. Look at how scared you are, little girl. Di He suddenly laughed out loud. He looked at Jingyu and nodded with satisfaction as he said, You're indeed worthy of being chosen by the 9 emperors. After saying that, Di He threw an ingot of silver and turned to leave the restaurant. Escort Leader Di, take care. Jingyu bowed and sent him off. Jing Lang slowly loosened his grip on the hilt of his sword. He looked at Jing Yu with slight reproach and said, "Have a good rest. The flying bandit has been rampant recently and has repeatedly injured people. Remember to bring more guards with you when you go out. I still have official business to attend to, so I'll take my leave first." "Okay." Jing Yu nodded obediently. When she saw Jing Lang leave, she wiped the sweat from her forehead. She cursed herself in her heart. Why did she snatch the gold Buddha statues for no reason? Now, not only did she fail to snatch the gold Buddha statues, but she also provoked the head escort of the Long Gate Escort Agency. Although he didn't say it clearly, Jing Yu was almost scared to death after hearing the conversation just now. "Boss." Shen Yuqing was also frightened. Apparently, he was frightened by what he said about shooting the ruffians. What happened that day was still vivid in his mind. When he thought about it now, he still felt a chill down his spine and felt very uneasy. "Clean up the restaurant." Jing Yu took a deep breath and said, "Fortunately, there's someone paying." Shen Yuqing bowed in response. "Miaoqiu, I'm sorry to frighten you. I'll get someone to send you back." Jing Yu's face as she turned to look at Lu Miaoqiu apologetically. "I'm fine." Lu Miaoqiu's face was slightly pale. She held Jing Yu's hand and said, "You have to be careful." Jing Yu was slightly taken aback when she heard this. Her eyes met with Lu Miaoqiu's. Lu Miaoqiu's eyes were filled with a dignified expression. Her hand that was holding Jing Yu's hand was trembling. However, she still comforted Jing Yu and said, "Don't worry. I know what to say and what not to say." Jing Yu held Lu Miaoqiu's hand and sighed in her heart. Lu Miaoqiu was really a thoughtful person. In just a short conversation, she revealed very little information. However, looking at Lu Miaoqiu's expression, she should have a clear understanding of everything. Jing Yu stood at the entrance of the restaurant and watched Lu Miaoqiu leave. She felt vaguely uneasy. It was probably because Ning Xiangyuan's betrayal to Jing Yu hadn't dissipated yet. She couldn't completely trust Lu Miaoqiu. She had already been stabbed in the back. She wouldn't be so stupid as to let others stab her in the back again. Therefore, after Jing Yu returned to the Wang Fu, she asked Xiao Chen's people to pay close attention to Lu Miaoqiu's actions. Chapter 259. If Lu Miaoqiu betrayed her in the slightest, then don't blame Jing Yu for being ruthless. Everyone in the imperial city knew about the burglar incident and it alarmed the emperor. He directly ordered the general's residence to intervene and capture the burglar who was causing trouble in the imperial city within 3 days. The burglar didn't have many skills, but his ability to hide and leap onto roofs and walls was not small. On the 10th day of the 11th month, Xiao Chen left the residence and didn't return. Jing Yu was alone in the prince's residence with nothing to do. When she heard that there was a trap set for the burglar tonight, Jing Yu was immediately interested. She pestered Jing Lang to follow her. "Jing Yu, you can only watch from afar. You absolutely cannot come out. Do you understand?" When Jing Lang brought Jing Yu to the location, he regretted it. Why didn't he accept Jing Yu's words and agree to let her come to such a dangerous place? "I promise. I swear to the heavens. I will hide in the carriage and watch secretly. I absolutely will not go out." Jing Yu raised her hand and said righteously, All right. Stay here and don't move." Jing Lang took a deep breath and instructed again. Then, he walked towards the ambush location in the distance. Jing Yu leaned against the wall of the carriage and squinted to watch the movement in the distance. After watching for a long time, she still didn't see the burglar. She was so bored that she yawned. She leaned against the carriage and closed her eyes. She thought that she could take a nap first. She asked the young man outside to remember to call her when the show started. After that, Jing Yu contentedly leaned against the carriage and slept. She was still a little sleepy. However, just as she was about to fall asleep, Jing Yu suddenly felt the carriage shake. She immediately woke up. Just as she was about to ask what happened, a cold light suddenly attacked her. Jing Yu was so frightened that she leaned back. Before she could do anything, she felt something cold against her neck. Jing Yu swallowed her saliva with difficulty and looked at the man who had a murderous look on his face. "Go and drive the carriage." The man coldly sized up Jing Yu and said, I don't know how to. Jingyu blinked. The sky was dark and Jingyu couldn't see the man's appearance clearly. However, she could smell the smell of blood coming from his body. Drive the carriage if I tell you to. The man coldly shouted. He reached out and lifted Jingyu up and pushed her onto the outside of the carriage. Jingyu wanted to cry but had no tears. Her body stiffened, afraid that the man would accidentally slit her neck. Jingyu sat on the carriage and saw that the guard had already been killed. His head was leaning against the wall of the carriage. In the distance, Jingyu and the others were still standing guard at the same spot. They seemed to be anxious about why the thief hadn't arrived yet. She suddenly understood. So the burglar was right behind you all. You all are still staring in front. Big brother, you all should turn around and look. She didn't know if Jingyu's thoughts were heard, but Jingyu really did turn around to look. However, just as he turned his head, the man who was threatening Jingyu whipped the horse and the carriage flew out. Ah! Jingyu jumped in fright and quickly grabbed onto the frame of the carriage, afraid that she would be flung out. Jingyu! Don't shoot! Jing Lang's voice sounded. Jingyu wanted to cry but had no tears. She tilted her head and looked at this man. While he was threatening her, he quickly drove the carriage into the distance. In a few moments, he disappeared into the night. Chapter 260. While threatening himself, he quickly drove the carriage into the distance. In a few moments, he disappeared into the night. Jingyu didn't care about what was behind her. She was only thinking about how to hold on tight to the carriage so that she wouldn't be thrown off. With such a fast horse, she would definitely be disfigured if she were to be thrown off. After a few jolts, the carriage finally came to a stop. Jingyu was mercilessly pushed to the ground. When she fell to the ground, Jingyu's face was filled with exhaustion. Sitting outside the carriage was really too frightening. Also, what the hell was this place? Jingyu blinked and looked at the scenery around her. Why were they in the mountains? There were trees all around. The man supported his injured body and walked to the other side. Only then did Jingyu see that there was a cave there. It was covered by weeds. It was really hidden. So this is where you hid your treasures, Jingyu said as she stood up and sized up the surroundings. You're not afraid? The man unbuttoned his clothes and revealed his arm. A horrifying bloody wound was exposed and the dried blood was sticky. Jingyu watched as he endured the pain and took off his clothes. Her body trembled. Just looking at it made her feel pain. Afraid of what? Of you? Jingyu sat cross-legged in front of the man and looked at the man's facial features. His facial features were very ordinary and there was nothing special about them. Only his eyes looked a little better. Jingyu curled her lips and looked away. Fine, she admitted that she was obsessed with looks. Schwa, now that you know where I am, I definitely won't let you go. The man pulled out a long sword and pointed it at Jingyu. Aren't you afraid? If I wanted to kill you, you would have been dead a long time ago. Jingyu looked at the cold sword tip indifferently and said, to put it bluntly, I came with you on purpose. You are a famous burglar. You must have a lot of treasures. You're about to die and you're still talking big? The man seemed to be amused by Jingyu's words and couldn't help but laugh. You've been poisoned by me. Can't you feel it? Jingyu blinked and stopped the man. What? The man's expression changed when he heard this. He hurriedly channeled his power, but the power in his body was still flowing smoothly without any signs of being poisoned. Jingyu looked at the man who had a solemn expression and laughed out loud. Ha! I lied to you. The man's face filled with anger and he raised his hand to stab Jingyu. Flower burial. Jingyu twisted her body and dodged the man's attack. She waved her sleeve and something flew towards the man. The man was shocked and he quickly dodged it. He pulled the wound on his arm and he broke out in cold sweat. Don't move. If you move again, I can't guarantee that you'll still be alive. Jingyu's figure flashed in front of the man like a ghost. The tip of a pitch-black dagger was pressed against the man's throat. Jingyu smiled, but the words she spoke were suffused with cold, killing intent. You know martial arts? The man opened his mouth slightly and looked down at the dagger in Jingyu's hand. He suddenly felt something cold moving on his shoulder and slowly wrapping around his neck. The man's face changed drastically. "Don't move." Jingyu smiled and moved the dagger away bit by bit. She raised her eyebrows and said, "That's flower burial. If I'm not careful, I'm afraid I'll bite you." Chapter 261. That's red burial flower. I might get bitten if I'm not careful. Hiss. The man's face turned pale. Who didn't know about the red burial flower? It was extremely rare and he didn't expect to run into one today. "What are you trying to do?" The man turned to Jingyu and said coldly. His eyes were filled with anger and his heart was filled with regret. Why did he bring her back in a moment of weakness? If he had known, he would have killed her the moment he saw her. "What? Are you regretting not killing me earlier?" Jingyu smiled at the man and said, "You should be glad that you didn't do it earlier. Otherwise, I would be facing a corpse right now. How boring would that be?" "All right, let's not talk nonsense." Jingyu blinked and said, "Hurry up and tell me where the things you stole are." "So that's what you were planning?" The man smiled coldly. "Nonsense, if I didn't plan to do that, why would I waste so much effort?" Jingyu frowned in annoyance and said, "Hurry up and tell me. If you don't tell me, I'll let Zonghua bite you." Zonghua cooperated with Jingyu's words and tightened his body and stuck out his tongue. "I'll tell you." The man's face turned pale and said, "I sold everything." "Sold? Where's the money?" Jingyu asked in shock. "I spent it all." The man turned his face away and didn't look at Jingyu. "Are you fucking kidding me?" Jingyu was furious. She forcefully pushed the man against the wall. The injury was torn open again by this shock. Bright red blood seeped out. The man's face turned pale and he fell to the ground with a pained expression. Cough, cough. The man coughed and opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was Zonghua's small body and the snake's forked tongue. His gaze landed on Zonghua's abdomen and the blood-red line made the man's face change. "You've been in the capital for so long, you must have stolen at least a few million taels of silver, right? You spent it all? Do you think I'm an idiot?" Jingyu squatted down and looked at the man. Her eyes were filled with coldness. She narrowed her eyes and said, "Looks like you won't tell the truth unless you suffer a little." "Wait." The man looked at Jingyu's expression and quickly said, "I'm telling the truth. I did spend the money, but I'm not the only one who spent it." "What do you mean? You have an accomplice?" Jingyu asked with wide eyes. "All the stolen money has been sent to Jade Pass." The man lowered his head and said, "Jade Stone Pass? Where the hell is this place?" Jingyu was stunned. She blinked her eyes in confusion and asked the man. "The Jade Stone Pass is an official road that leads to the Imperial City. This year, there have been countless natural and man-made disasters. The refugees have no home to return to. The past lord of the Jade Stone Pass is a warm-hearted person. He has taken in all the refugees who have nowhere to go. Now, the Jade Stone Pass is like a big civilian kiln." The man lowered his head and said in a low voice, "Winter is coming and the end of the year is approaching. The refugees at Jade Pass don't even have a cotton coat. They have no way to reach the heavens. The money allocated by the emperor is only left with 1/10 of the money. How can the heavens not force them to burn, kill, and rob? You guys are enjoying the riches in the capital, but they can't even eat their fill." Chapter 262. Are you from the Jade Gate as well? Jingyu pursed her lips as she looked at the man. She stood up slowly and said, "With your martial arts, you're definitely not an ordinary person." "I'm just a tourist from the martial arts world." "I couldn't stand it," the man said indifferently as he lowered his body and remained motionless. "What kind of nonsense is this?" Jingyu hugged her head in frustration as she walked in circles on the spot. She had worked so hard for half a day, but in the end, she didn't get anything. Instead, she met a thief who robbed the rich to give to the poor. This was crazy. "Get lost," Jingyu said with her back facing the man. "What?" The man was slightly stunned, as if he didn't hear what Jingyu said. "I told you to get lost." Jingyu glared at the man angrily and said, "The soldiers will be here soon. In the future, do stupid things like robbing the rich to give to the poor. Can you do it faster? You actually caused such a huge commotion in the Imperial City. You're asking for death. I didn't want to leave this place alive. The man lowered his head and mumbled. Then I'll send you on your way now. Jingyu was furious. She grabbed the dagger and stabbed it at the man. I'm just spouting nonsense. The man hurriedly said in horror. The dagger in Jingyu's hand stopped above the man's head. If she used half of her strength, it would directly pierce through his head. The man was so frightened that he stopped breathing. A chill crept up his back. Jingyu snorted coldly and retracted the dagger. She narrowed her eyes at the man and said indifferently, Zhonghua, let's go. Hiss hiss. The little snake slid down the man's body and slithered to Jingyu's feet. Jingyu reached out her hand and Zhonghua happily coiled around Jingyu's arm. The man widened his eyes at this scene and swallowed his saliva. She could actually tame a venomous snake. Jingyu rubbed Zhonghua's head and walked out of the cave with light steps. The man watched as Jingyu left and didn't come back to his senses for a long time. After a long time, he propped himself up and walked out of the cave. Jingyu's figure was nowhere to be seen. Jingyu walked for a long time and was exhausted. It was dark in the middle of the night and Jingyu was trembling in fear. Why did she leave? Even if she wanted to leave, she should let that fellow leave. Jingyu's heart was filled with hidden bitterness. She squatted under a tree and silently stroked Zhonghua's body. Her eyes were constantly on the surroundings. It was completely silent. Jingyu sneezed violently as she smelled the chill of the night wind. Jingyu rubbed her nose and lowered her head. Just as Jingyu was feeling very uncomfortable, she finally heard the sound of horse hooves and the bright light of a torch. A familiar voice called out to her, Jingyu, Jingyu. Jingyu's lips curled into a smile, but her body couldn't help but fall to the side and smash onto the ground. While she was in a daze, she felt as though she was being hugged by a warm embrace. The anxious calls made Jingyu smile in satisfaction. Her consciousness was completely blurred. Imperial concubine, you're awake. Yin Xiao's cheerful voice rang out. Jingyu rubbed her groggy head and sat up. Seeing that she woke up on the bed in the prince's residence, she silently sighed in relief. Looking at her appearance, she seemed to have caught a cold. The imperial physician said that you caught a cold and had a slight fever. Now that the fever has subsided, you'll be fine after taking some medicine to expel the cold. Yin Xiao handed a bowl of medicine to Jingyu and said. Chapter 263. Yin Xiao passed the bowl of medicine in her hand to Jingyu and said, "Oh." Jingyu replied with a heavy nasal sound. She raised her hand to take the medicine bowl from Yin Xiao's hand and drank the entire bowl of Chinese medicine in one gulp. She had been tormented for most of the night, and the night was cold. It was hard not to fall sick. Jingyu sighed sadly. How unlucky. Not only did she not get anything, she even got herself sick. Jingyu didn't know how many times she sighed. Finally, she silently took a deep breath and laid back down on the bed to continue sleeping. It was easy to feel sleepy when one was sick. Anyway, Jingyu just drank medicine, slept, drank medicine and slept. To pass just like that. Imperial concubine, I heard that the flying bandit was caught today. He is going to be beheaded in public at noon. Yin Xiao poured out the medicine as she took the time to talk to Jingyu. Oh. Jingyu replied faintly. She immediately opened her eyes and sat up. She looked at Yin Xiao with a horrified expression and said, Who did you say was going to be beheaded in public? That flying bandit. Yin Xiao blinked and looked at Jingyu as she spoke. I want to leave the residence. Jingyu didn't even think before she lifted the blanket and got off the bed. Yin Xiao was shocked and tried to stop her, but she didn't manage to. When Jingyu appeared again, she was already in the city. There was a sea of people everywhere who came to watch the show. In the city, there were countless soldiers surrounding the high platform. There were layers of commoners who came to watch. Jingyu stood among them and looked at the person kneeling on the execution platform with disheveled hair. Her eyes were filled with a strange expression. She carefully looked at that person's face. It was indeed that flying bandit. The commoners below were in a heated discussion. Some said that it was a pity, while others said that it was a good kill. This cat burglar had specifically targeted people who were oppressive and had bad lives. The commoners were naturally happy, but there were also some wealthy businessmen who were afraid that they would be next. Naturally, they said that it was a good kill. Jingyu sighed silently. She listened to the judge announce the execution. A bright knife was raised. Jingyu couldn't help but turn her head. A soft sound was heard and a head rolled on the ground. The facial features were clearly exposed. It was the person that Jingyu saw that day. However, that pair of eyes wasn't as beautiful as before. They were gray and defeated. "Little brother, why don't you bury this person?" Jingyu grabbed a soldier who was about to turn to leave. She took out a silver ingot and placed it in the soldier's hand. "But," that soldier replied and said, "There's no one to send this person off to the execution platform. There's probably no one to collect the corpse. Miss, you're really kind." Jingyu waved her hand and took one last look at the scene. She sighed, shook her head, and turned to leave. Just as Jingyu left, a young man in a green robe walked in front of that soldier. Seeing that the soldier was collecting the corpse, he frowned and called out, "Little brother, what's the relationship between that young lady and this person?" "I don't know. She only asked me to help bury the corpse." That soldier shook his head and said, "Oh." That green-robed man replied faintly. He watched as Jingyu sat in a carriage. That carriage had the insignia of the 9th Emperor's palace. A strange expression flashed across the green-robed man's face. Jingyu recuperated in the palace for 3 to 4 days before she recovered. Jingyu wanted to vomit when she saw the bowl of medicine. Finally, she didn't need to take medicine anymore and could finally go out. This made Jingyu extremely happy. Chapter 264. Finally, she didn't have to take medicine anymore. She could finally go out and walk around. This really made Jingyu very happy. Imperial Consort. Miss Shangguan sent someone over with an invitation. Yin Xiao stepped into Jingyu's room with light steps. Just as she was about to approach Jingyu, her sharp eyes caught sight of flower burial on the table. Her small face instantly paled and she froze on the spot, not daring to move. "Io, how long has it been? Why are you still afraid of flower burial?" Jingyu rolled her eyes helplessly. She went up and took the invitation from Yin Xiao's hand. She watched as Yin Xiao ran off and sighed helplessly. She opened the invitation and muttered, "What is Linglan up to again? Io, damn." Jingyu stared at the invitation and gritted her teeth. "She actually invited me to eat at Yu Qianlai restaurant. Is there something wrong with this girl's head?" The corners of Jingyu's mouth twitched. She shouted Yin Xiao's name loudly, asking her to prepare the carriage and leave the manor. Now, the business of this have-money-come restaurant could be said to be more and more prosperous. Every day it was full of customers. All kinds of banquets and family dinners were ordered here. Jingyu would often come up with new tricks to make the restaurant's dishes fresh and whetted people's appetites. Now that it was winter, Jingyu even made a modern hot pot. It was especially affordable and the taste was amazing. Everyone could eat what they liked. "Lanlan, what's wrong with you again?" Jingyu sat lazily in the private room and asked with a frown when she saw Shangguan Linglan's unhappy expression. "Isn't it all my 5th brother's fault?" Shangguan Linglan sighed bitterly and said, "Some time ago, my mother made a few clothes for grandmother. She said that it was winter and she wanted to send them to grandmother after the new year. Originally, 5th brother would be the one doing this every year, but this year, 5th brother actually ran off to the military camp. 6th brother broke his leg a few days ago, so she asked you to send clothes to your grandmother?" Jingyu blinked and said, "Isn't it just sending clothes? Is there a need to make such a frown?" "Jingyu, do you know where these clothes are going?" Shangguan Linglan sat up excitedly and said, "To Jiaxing. From the imperial city to Jadestone Pass. It's a 3-day journey. This trip will take at least a month. When she comes back, it will be the end of the year." Jingyu almost spat out a mouthful of hot tea. She stared at Shangguan Linglan and said, "Why is your grandmother so far away?" "My grandmother believed in God and Buddha. It was said that before I was born, my grandmother heard from an eminent monk that she had to go to Baofeng Temple to worship Buddha for 20 years. If she didn't come back in 20 years, she would bring a bloody disaster to the family. Then my grandmother went and never came back. She was going to worship Buddha for 20 years before coming back. No way. Jing Yu widened her eyes and said, she couldn't have been tricked, right? You don't say, it's actually quite effective. Shangguan Linglan blinked her eyes and said, originally, my mother's family was not a high-ranking official, but in the 3rd year of my grandmother's visit to the Baofeng Temple, my mother married my father, and our family became a first-class family. This is something that has never happened before. Jing Yu was slightly stunned. She didn't really believe in this kind of thing, but even a fantasy like time travel existed. She reluctantly believed in it. Chapter 265. She didn't really believe in this kind of thing, but even something as magical as time travel existed, so she had to reluctantly believe in it. Because of this incident, Mother's family stopped objecting to it. After Mother got married, she would send new clothes to grandmother every year. This year is an exception. Father also approved of it, so he always let my brothers do it. But this year, my brothers aren't here, so I have to do it. Shangguan Linglan looked at Jing Yu with a wronged expression. This is what a child should do. Besides, she's your grandmother. Jing Yu patted Shangguan Linglan's hand and said, I know, but it's so boring for me to go alone. Shangguan Linglan looked at Jing Yu with teary eyes and said, come with me. Cough, cough, cough. Jing Yu covered her mouth and coughed. She swallowed her saliva and looked at Shangguan Linglan and said, You don't talk like that. You're giving me goosebumps. Jing Yu, just come with me. You have nothing to do in the capital anyway. Shangguan Linglan grabbed Jing Yu's hand and said, Please. I don't want to go somewhere so far alone. If you come with me, you'll have a companion. But Jing Yu furrowed her brows. Yeah. Good, yeah. Shangguan Linglan looked at Jing Yu with a pleading expression. When do you want to go? Jing Yu looked at Shangguan Linglan and asked. Tomorrow. Shangguan Linglan suddenly sat up straight and looked at Jing Yu with a burning gaze and said, You agree, right? I don't care anymore, I'll take it that you agree. Jing Yu's face darkened. She looked speechlessly at Shangguan Linglan, who suddenly became happy and sighed, I have to explain things. As for the 9th Emperor's, I can't guarantee that he'll let me go. Shangguan Linglan instantly jumped up and looked at Jing Yu with a serious expression and said, If the 9th Emperor's doesn't let you go, I'll elope with you. I'll never come back. Cough, cough, cough. Jing Yu looked at Shangguan Linglan with a frightened gaze. Why did she feel that after being with Shangguan Linglan for a long time, he would often say 1 or 2 shocking words? Did she teach this kid the wrong things? After Shangguan Linglan left, Jing Yu found Shen Yuqing and told him that she was going on a long trip. She told him to take care of the matters in the shop and told him to take care of it. Then, she went to the brothel and named the brothel Qin Brothel, which was about to be renovated. She told him to put it aside after the renovation was completed and to wait for her to come back to handle the opening. If she couldn't make it back in time, then the Qin Brothel would open after the new year. It wouldn't have much of an impact. She only told Lu Man to keep an eye on the finishing work and not to be careless. After giving out instructions, it was Xiao Chen's turn. When Jing Yu returned to the residence, she specially took a detour to the restaurant to get a set of hot pot utensils. After returning to the lotus garden, she told Yin Xiao to prepare the ingredients while she simmered the exclusive soup base. Xiao Chen was in the study dealing with documents. Just as he was looking at the documents, Xing Yi lightly knocked on the door and walked in. He bowed slightly to Xiao Chen and said, Master, the imperial concubine sent someone to call you to the lotus garden for dinner. HM? Xiao Chen raised his head from the documents and looked at Xing Yi in confusion. She actually sent someone to call me personally? Chapter 266. She actually personally sent someone to call me? That is. Xing Yi nodded. She can't be up to something again, right? Xiao Chen couldn't help but think of the lotus flower soup from last time. His expression instantly changed. Xing Yi looked at Xiao Chen's expression and couldn't help but smile. He thought for a moment and said, I heard that the imperial concubine brought back a new menu from the restaurant and invited master to taste it. Yes. Xiao Chen calmly replied. He stood up and said, since that's the case, let's go take a look. Xing Yi bowed his head in acknowledgement. Xiao Chen entered the courtyard and saw Jing Yu's busy figure. He could smell the aroma of food from afar. His eyes instantly lit up and he walked over with steady steps. Jing Yu saw Xiao Chen's arrival and hurriedly waved her hands and called out. Xiao Chen, come quickly. Today, I'll let you taste the one and only hot pot in the imperial city. Jing Yu said proudly. Pot? Xiao Chen looked at the table full of uncooked dishes in confusion. He looked at Jing Yu in confusion. Jing Yu hopped up and down to wait for Xiao Chen to sit down. Only then did she return to her seat and said with a smile, this is called Mandarin duck pot. Half of it is spicy, and the other half is not spicy. Look, the water is boiling. Throw this dish in and when it's cooked, scoop it up. This is soy sauce and sesame sauce. Make whatever flavor you like. When you want to eat it, dip it in. Don't you think it tastes good? Jing Yu asked Xiao Chen with a smile. Yes, it's delicious. Xiao Chen nodded in amazement. He looked at Jing Yu and said, how did you think of this method? I thought of it a few days ago. Jing Yu said excitedly. When I went to the kitchen, I accidentally dropped a piece of meat into the boiling water. Then I had this idea. Everyone chimed in and came up with this idea. Okay. Xiao Chen nodded repeatedly. Jing Yu looked at Xiao Chen's happy expression and continued to put food in his bowl. Jing Yu also ate happily. When she was almost full, Jing Yu hesitated on how to tell Xiao Chen about Shangguan Linglan. Thinking about Xiao Chen's furious expression, Jing Yu inexplicably became timid. Jing Yu still didn't dare to say anything even after she finished eating. She hesitated for a long time. After washing up, she lay on the bed. Xiao Chen was lying on his side reading a book. Jing Yu still didn't dare to say anything. After trying a few times, Jing Yu finally plucked up her courage. Xiao Chen. Jing Yu carefully glanced at Xiao Chen's expression and poked Xiao Chen's arm. Say it. Xiao Chen responded faintly. That? You have to promise me first. Jing Yu hugged Xiao Chen's arm and said. Xiao Chen's body stiffened and he looked down at the little hand that was hugging him. In Xiao Chen's memory, this was one of the few times that Jing Yu had taken the initiative to get close to him. You have to say it first. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and looked at Jing Yu with a faint smile on his face. That. Jing Yu swallowed her saliva and said hesitantly, you have to promise me that you won't be angry after you hear it. Maybe. Xiao Chen reached out his long arm and pulled Jing Yu into his embrace. Her soft body nestled in his embrace and the smile on Xiao Chen's face deepened. Jing Yu would have struggled free if this was any other time. However, since she had a favor to ask of him today, Jing Yu didn't move and allowed Xiao Chen to hug her. Chapter 267. If that wasn't the case, how could you take the initiative to get close to me? Xiao Chen pinched Jing Yu's cheeks and said indifferently, speaking of which, I still have to thank Shangguan Linglan. Jing Yu slapped away Xiao Chen's hand in disdain and pushed Xiao Chen to the side. She muttered unhappily, ganging up to bully me. The imperial city isn't safe these few days. You should go out with Shangguan Linglan to relax. Let Xing Er accompany you. Xiao Chen laid down beside Jing Yu and put his hand on Jing Yu's body. He said, with Shangguan Linglan with you, no one should dare to do anything to you. What do you mean? Did something happen in the palace again? Jing Yu's expression changed slightly. She turned to look at Xiao Chen and asked. It's not a big deal. Xiao Chen replied indifferently and said, I will take care of it. Oh. Jing Yu nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Jing Yu didn't want to interfere with the matters of the imperial family. Now that she knew she could go out, Jing Yu couldn't hide the joy in her heart. She had been in the Tokyo for so long, but she hadn't seen the scenery of the Tokyo. When she came out of the Roman forest and headed to the imperial city, There were assassins along the way. Jingyu wasn't in the mood to enjoy the scenery. Now it was different. Jingyu had gradually adapted to ancient life. After leaving the forest, many interesting things had happened. This trip would take a month. She couldn't bring Yin Jian and Yin Feng with her. She could only leave them in the forest outside the city and have Xiao Chen visit them regularly. As for the restaurant and the Qin Tower, Jingyu had already made arrangements. There shouldn't be any problems. Thinking of this, Jingyu slowly closed her eyes and waited for tomorrow to set off. Shangguan Linglan came to the palace early in the morning to pick up Jingyu. When Yin Xiao heard that Jingyu was going out, she packed a bunch of things for her. There was a stove, things for washing up, and so on. Jingyu looked at Yin Xiao packing and held her forehead helplessly. In the end, she let Yin Xiao bring the utensils for the hot pot as well. She might have to spend the night outside on this trip. If she brought these things, she wouldn't have to eat wild vegetables. It was simple and convenient. All she had to do was start a fire. With the huge pile of things, she even asked for 2 more horses to carry the goods. Jingyu stood in front of the palace doors with a fur coat draped over her shoulders. Xiao Chen raised his hand to tidy up Jingyu's hair. His eyes were gentle. He was a man of few words and didn't say anything. Jingyu could clearly feel Xiao Chen's worry. Xing heir, protect the imperial concubine well. If anything happens to the imperial concubine, even 100 of your lives won't be enough to compensate. Xiao Chen looked coldly at Xing heir and said, Yes, this subordinate will definitely protect the imperial concubine well. Xing heir knelt in front of Xiao Chen and bowed as he spoke. Don't worry, I have the red burial flower by my side. Normal people won't be able to get close to me. Jingyu smiled and said to Xiao Chen, Be careful. Xiao Chen's expression eased a little when he heard this. The red burial flower was the #1 poisonous snake and was extremely intelligent. With it by her side, he felt much more at ease. Normal people really wouldn't be able to get close to Jingyu. Jingyu smiled at Xiao Chen when she heard Shangguan Linglan's call. Then, she turned and walked towards the carriage. Xing heir also got on the horse and headed out of the imperial city. It was the middle of November and the weather was getting colder. Jingyu and Shangguan Linglan sat in the carriage, drinking hot tea and chatting along the way. Chapter 268. The weather was getting colder and colder. Jingyu and Shangguan Linglan sat in the carriage, drinking hot tea and chatting along the way. We'll be out of the main road in 1 more day. The road won't be so safe anymore, Shangguan Linglan said as he lifted the curtain and looked out at the scenery. What? Someone would rob us in broad daylight? Jingyu asked as she looked at Shangguan Linglan in confusion. It's hard to say. Shangguan Linglan lowered the curtain and turned to look at Jingyu. Once we're out of the main road, we'll lose the protection of the soldiers. It's also the middle of winter right now. The robbers would want to steal some good stuff to celebrate the new year. It'll be hard to say what will happen if they target us. Our group doesn't even have a chest. What can they steal? Jingyu shook her head helplessly. If these robbers are really like this, then they must be blind. They'll snatch you away and make you the wife of a bandit. Shangguan Linglan said with a laugh. Jingyu's face darkened. She looked Shangguan Linglan up and down and said, If they're talking about a wife of a bandit, shouldn't they be snatching you away? I'm already taken. Go. If anyone dares to touch me, I'll kill them. Shangguan Linglan said fiercely. A girl only knows how to fight and kill all day long. Jingyu held her forehead helplessly. Jingyu and Shangguan Linglan's group continued to walk forward slowly. Originally, they would have reached the side of the official road today, but the weather unexpectedly changed. The north wind blew, and snowflakes floated down from the gray sky. As the wind got stronger, the snowflakes also got heavier. It's snowing. Jingyu lifted the curtain and looked at the white snow dancing in the air. She sighed in her heart. Another year was about to pass. Without realizing it, she had been out of the forest for almost a year. Miss, the snow is too heavy. I can't see the road clearly. We have to find a place to stop and wait for the snow to lessen before we can continue. The voice of the coachman came from outside. Shangguan Linglan retracted his gaze from the outside and replied loudly, "See if there's a place where we can take shelter from the wind and snow. Let's stop for a while." Alright. The carriage traveled for a while before slowly stopping. Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan put on their fur coats and got out of the carriage door. They looked at the ruined temple in front of them and paused for a moment before walking in. The carriage stopped at the entrance of the temple, blocking the wind and snow that blew into the temple. The interior of the ruined temple was filled with straw. Xing Er and the coachman went forward to tidy it up. Shangguan Linglan's bodyguard, Fei Exin, was unloading the heater and some other things from the carriage. After a while, Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan sat down on a blanket to rest. "Look at the snow. It won't stop for a while." Shangguan Linglan sighed silently. "There's no need to rush." Jing Yu calmly sat to the side. Shangguan Linglan sighed helplessly. He and Jing Yu sat to the side and chatted. When they were really bored, they took out a book to read. The wind and snow outside didn't lessen. Instead, it became even heavier. Just as everyone was in a dilemma, a voice suddenly called out from outside the temple. "Guests inside, we passed by this place. The wind and snow are very heavy. Can you take shelter for a while?" Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan froze when they heard the voice. Shangguan Linglan frowned and turned to Fei Exi, saying, "Invite them in." Fei Xian's face was resolute. It was obvious that he had been in the army for a long time and was a man who had seen blood. His calm appearance was very reassuring. Chapter 269. Not long after Fei Exan left, he saw a group of people step into the temple. Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan stood up to take a look. The person in the lead was an old man over 50 years old, followed by a little girl who looked about 7 years old. Her smiling face was flushed red from the cold wind, and she blinked her bright eyes, looking very cute. "Thank you for your shelter, ladies." The old man looked honest and righteous. He bowed to Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan. "You're welcome, sir. Come and warm yourself." Shangguan Linglan bowed to the old man and invited him with a smile. Jing Yu stood beside Shangguan Linglan and didn't say anything. Everyone sat down and warmed themselves by the charcoal fire. Jing Yu was too lazy to talk. Shangguan Linglan was a talkative person, and he chatted happily with the old man. "Where are you two ladies going?" The old man's surname was Su, but he didn't say his full name. He just called him Old Mr. Su. "We're going to Baofeng Temple in Jiaxing to visit my grandmother," Shangguan Linglan said with a faint smile. "Baofeng Temple? I just came back from Jiaxing. I think I've heard of this Baofeng Temple, but it's not very famous. I don't know where my memory is." Old Mr. Su shook his head helplessly. "It's not very famous, so it's normal that you don't remember it," Shangguan Linglan said with a faint smile. "Looking at you, sir, are you going to the capital? Who is this little girl?" "Oh." Old Mr. Su held the little girl and said, "I'm going to Jiaxing to seek medical treatment. This is my granddaughter, Ron. Her health hasn't been good since she was young, and she's been seeking medical treatment everywhere." Old Mr. Su shook his head helplessly as he spoke. "So it's Miss Ruan. Don't worry, sir. There are many capable people in the world, and your granddaughter's illness will definitely be cured," Shangguan Linglan said with a gentle smile to the little girl. "Thank you for your kind words." Old Master Su bowed politely. Jing Yu sat at the side and listened to the conversation between the two of them. She paused for a moment and her gaze fell on the little girl. She listened to the little girl's rapid and unsteady breathing and frowned slightly. She had rested for so long, but her breathing was still so unsteady. "Sir, does your granddaughter suffer from asthma?" Jing Yu's sudden voice gave Shangguan Linglan a fright. When Old Master Su heard this, his expression changed and his eyes lit up. He looked at Jing Yu excitedly and said, "Miss, you know how to treat illnesses?" "I won't," Jing Yu said indifferently. "I only made a wild guess when I heard that her breathing was extremely unstable. Please forgive me if I have offended you." "So that's how it is." The excitement on Old Mr. Su's face slowly faded, causing Shangguan Linglan to feel a little unbearable. "But this illness shouldn't be a terminal illness. Is it so difficult to treat?" Jingyu raised her eyebrows in confusion and said, "Her illness doesn't seem to be very serious. She should be fine after an operation." "Miss, since you don't know how to treat illnesses, how can you tell if it's serious or not? What do you mean by operation?" Old Master Su seemed to be a little angry at Jingyu's words. A person who didn't know how to treat illnesses dared to make wild judgments. Her contemptuous tone made Old Master Su a little angry. Jingyu was slightly stunned and then realized that this was ancient times. In ancient times, there was only traditional Chinese medicine and there was no such thing as operation. Chapter 270. Jingyu froze for a moment before realizing that they were in ancient times. In ancient times, there was only traditional Chinese medicine and there was no such thing as surgery. Sorry, I was talking nonsense. Jingyu lowered her head slightly. It was just an outsider's business, so why should she worry about it? Shangguan Linglan glared at Jingyu, then turned around and continued talking to Old Master Su. It was still snowing outside, and when it was close to noon, Jingyu called Xing Er over and told him to take out the ingredients for the hot pot so that they could have a big meal. Jingyu was happily fiddling with various things. She threw the ingredients into a pot of boiling water, scooped them out, and dipped them in sauce to eat. Watching Jingyu and the others eating, they were particularly eager. On the other hand, Old Master Su's people were only eating dry rations. "Old Master, come and eat with us to warm your body." Shangguan Linglan looked at Old Master Su and the others, then slightly bowed his head and waved at the young lady. "What kind of eating method is this? This old man has lived for so long, but I've never seen anyone eat like this." Old Master Su became greedy when he smelled the aroma. When he heard Shangguan Linglan's invitation, he slightly declined, but in the end he still picked up the small bowl and started eating. This food is called hot pot, and it came from the imperial city. Shangguan Linglan faintly smiled, glanced at Jingyu and continued, "A new restaurant opened in the imperial city, and it's called You Have Money. There are all kinds of strange food, and this hot pot came from that restaurant." "This is called hot pot?" Old Master Su's eyes lit up. Shangguan Linglan nodded and said, "Look at how simple it is. It's convenient to eat wherever you are, and having more people is just a matter of having more chopsticks. You can just boil whatever you want to eat. It's simple and convenient, and it doesn't cost much." Yes. But Old Master Su's eyes curved into crescents as he smiled. "Old Master Su, you can go to the capital and take a look. There are many different kinds of food," Shangguan Linglan said succinctly. Jingyu pouted. Was he trying to pull customers for her? After this meal, everyone became closer. Arwan, who had not dared to speak, was finally willing to speak. When she spoke, she immediately became lively. When she heard that Shangguan Linglan knew martial arts, she immediately asked Shangguan Linglan to teach her with a look of worship. "Arwan, your body isn't in good condition. You can't practice martial arts." Old Master Su hurriedly pulled Arwan to his side and said, "Grandpa, will I be able to practice martial arts after I recover?" Arwan looked up at Old Master Su and asked, "Arwan, if you want to learn martial arts, you have to take care of your body." Old Master Su's eyes were filled with pity as he rubbed Arwan's head affectionately. Hearing this, Arwan's eyes lit up and she cheered excitedly. She looked at Shangguan Linglan excitedly and said, "Sister Lan, when I'm well, can you teach me martial arts?" "Okay, when Arwan is well, I'll teach you martial arts." Shangguan Linglan raised his hand and rubbed Arwan's head lovingly. The snow has stopped. The coachman's voice was heard, and everyone turned their heads to look. The snow outside had already stopped, and the vast expanse of whiteness was very beautiful. Everyone's eyes revealed a smile. Fortunately, they did not have to spend the night in this dilapidated temple. "Thank you for your shelter and this hot pot." Old Master Su bowed slightly and said, "If you have any difficulties in the future, you can come to the Imperial City and find me at the Su residence at Mingbian Lake. If I can help, I will definitely help." Chapter 271. Thank you, sir. Shangguan Linglan and Jing Yu bowed slightly. Sir, your granddaughter's illness can't be delayed any longer. Jing Yu hesitated for a moment as she watched the old man step out. She then opened her mouth to speak. Sir Su paused for a moment, turned around, and bowed slightly to Jing Yu before leaving. Shangguan Linglan and Jing Yu watched the carriage leave, leaving a trail of wheels on the snow. Shanghai Linglan turned to look at Jing Yu strangely and asked, "What's the operation you mentioned? Is it a secret technique?" "I guess so." Jing Yu didn't say anything else as she instructed everyone to pack up and continue their journey. With the delay caused by the heavy snow, a day's journey should have taken them 2 days to reach their destination. Once they exited the official road, they would reach the Jade Stone Pass. Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan only officially exited the official road after showing their pass. Along the way, Xing Er and Fei Xen were on high alert. Obviously, without the protection of the soldiers, the two of them were the main guards. Fortunately, they didn't make any movements after walking for an entire day. In the evening, they checked into the only inn along the way. From here to Jadestone Pass, they didn't stop at any place except for this inn. "There's no place to stay. We can only sleep on the shared beds." The innkeeper shouted and chased the people who came to stay on the other side. A few wealthy merchants came forward to pay for a room. Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan's eyebrows twitched when they saw this scene. This black-hearted innkeeper. He really thought of all ways to make money. The poor commoners had no choice but to sleep in the huts beside the stable. If they didn't have a place to rest on this cold night, they would probably freeze to death the next day. Shangguan Linglan shook his head helplessly and asked Fei Xen to book a few rooms. "How many rooms can we book?" Shangguan Linglan asked Fei Xen when he returned. "At most 5, Fei Xen said. "That's enough." Shangguan Linglan nodded slowly and said, "Go over there and bring the elderly and children into the rooms. I'll sleep in the carriage tonight." "Miss?" Fei Xen widened his eyes and looked at Shangguan Linglan in shock. Jing Yu looked at Shangguan Linglan's stubborn expression and revealed a smile. She said faintly, "Let them stay in all 5 rooms. We'll sleep in the carriage." Shangguan Linglan heard Jing Yu's words and nodded happily. Fei Xen was helpless and could only pass along Shangguan Linglan's words. The commoners were all in disbelief and thought they had met with a swindler. Fei Xen spent a lot of effort to convince them. Immediately, everyone was filled with gratitude and insisted on thanking Shangguan Linglan. Shangguan Linglan was most afraid of situations like this. He hid in the carriage and didn't come out. The commoners had no choice but to kowtow to the carriage a few times before following Fei Xen to the inn. However, they didn't expect to be blocked at the entrance of the inn. Miss. Fei Xen hurriedly ran over and said, "The innkeeper won't let them in. He said that if so many people want to go in, they have to pay." "What?" Shangguan Linglan jumped up when he heard this. His eyes were filled with anger. "I didn't know that the inn's rooms are based on the number of people." Shangguan Linglan lifted the curtain and jumped off the carriage. He walked towards the entrance of the inn. The entrance was already filled with people. There were people who came to watch the show, but the innkeeper blocked the entrance and didn't let anyone in. Chapter 272. The entrance was already packed with people. There were people who came to watch the show, but the innkeeper blocked the entrance, not letting anyone in. You're not allowed to enter if you don't pay." The innkeeper saw Fei Xen walk over with 2 women. He was originally a bit timid, but when he saw that it was actually a woman, he immediately became bolder and shouted with more force. The crowd below all glared at him angrily. "You're the one who said not to let them in?" Shangguan Linglan raised her chin and asked the innkeeper. "Miss, we are all small businesses. Since you have so many people staying here, we will have to double the price no matter what." The innkeeper smiled very flatteringly, but his eyes were full of indifference. "This lady booked these 5 rooms. It's my business who I want to give them to and how many people I want to give them to. When I booked the rooms, you also agreed, but now you want to add more money?" Shangguan Linglan angrily glared at the innkeeper, her voice filled with coldness. "This is my inn, so I have the final say. You're not allowed to enter if you don't pay more." The innkeeper looked at Shangguan Linglan, not backing down at all. Do. Shangguan Linglan's face was filled with anger. Looking at the shopkeeper's appearance, she turned around and pulled out the long sword at Fei Xian's waist. The shining long sword was placed on the shopkeeper's neck as Shangguan Linglan coldly said, "Say it again, will you let me in or not?" The innkeeper was so scared that he fell to the ground. Looking at the long sword in Shangguan Linglan's hand, his eyes were full of fear. It wasn't that his inn had never seen troublesome customers, but it was very close to the official road. No one had ever dared to pull out a sword and point it at him. "Let me tell you, even if I cut you down in front of so many people today, it won't be a big deal. At most, this inn will just have a new owner." Shangguan Linglan's hand holding the long sword didn't move at all. Her imposing manner caused the innkeeper's expression to change unpredictably. "If you have something to say it properly," the innkeeper said with a trembling voice. "Now tell me, are you going to let them in or not?" Shangguan Linglan narrowed his eyes and stared coldly at the innkeeper. It was as if he was waiting for the innkeeper to say one more word before thrusting the sword in his hand without hesitation. "Make way, make way, make way." The shopkeeper's body trembled as he hurriedly agreed. He kept nodding his head, afraid that Shangguan Linglan would stab him. Shangguan Linglan coldly snorted, took back the sword in his hand, and threw it to Fei Xian. He said, "In the future, if you meet this kind of scum, just kill him. I will talk to my father." "Yes." Fei Xian bowed his head in acknowledgement. The shopkeeper looked at this scene with a face full of fear. From these words, it seemed that this person's background was not small. Today he had kicked an iron plate. "You're really lucky." Jingyu looked at the shop owner coldly and said, "You can't kill him, but it's not a big deal to cripple him." After saying that, Jingyu turned around and left with an indifferent look on her face. The shopkeeper who had fallen to the ground immediately turned pale. What kind of background did these two people have? The commoners below thanked them profusely for a long time before entering their houses. Shangguan Linglan lay in the carriage with an exhausted look on her face. Clearly, she wasn't good at dealing with these matters. Jingyu yawned and burrowed into her blankets without thinking too much about it. The next morning, Shangguan Linglan waited for everyone to leave before she relaxed. She was afraid that the innkeeper would do something harmful. This time, Shangguan Linglan was overthinking. The innkeeper had been scared by her for a long time yesterday and hadn't come back to his senses. How could he have any bad intentions? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.